Good evening.
Hello.
How was your day? We're just now sitting down. So,
Dandy.
good evening, Randy.
Hello, Randy.
We're just now sitting down. So.
Well,
You have the good evening, Randy.
hello, Randy. We need to
I guess we'll stop that. She had the
turn.
YouTube on for, so we were just repeating ourselves. That's interesting.
This is an interesting thing. So, how was your day?
Normal. Got carrots planted after work.
Oh, that's good. How
But
many
yeah,
rows to put in?
4 rows.
Only?
Well, yeah, 100 foot. Didn't use the jang like we had thought about. Correct. Yep, we're in Missouri.
We're in north central Missouri, actually.
Yeah.
Like, I want to say it's like straight north of Columbia.
2 garden plots tilled up. Yeah, we couldn't.
Cool.
I couldn't work ground on the outside gardens yet. We're pretty wet. Frost is still in the ground, but coming out. So we're getting pretty dry though.
What's your temperature like down there right now, Randy?
Potatoes and green beans. Yeah.
Oh.
No, green beans would not happen. I still expect to see negative temperatures yet this year. So, but next 2 weeks looks like it's going to be the next full
Next
week and
week.
week and a half
40s.
is going to be 50s. 50s for the next 3 days in the 50s. Then it's going to drop back down to the 30s. Then we jump back up in the 50s, almost 60, and then 40s, and it's going to moderate. So that'll be nice.
I'll take that.
70s, 40s at night.
Nice, Randy. That's cool.
Yep, I'm ready for that weather.
Heck yeah.
That's about perfect growing weather. 70s and 40s for night. I like that. So. But no, I got 100 foot, so 400 foot of carrots, one bed full of carrots, and then I did the 50 foot of turnips. Got turnips in the ground. So, and then we've got radishes. So 4 foot, 4 rows, 40 foot of radishes.
Did you interplant in the carrots?
Nope.
Just gonna do 4 rows. Okay.
So, and I think you need to probably harvest the Salanova, and we'll just start over.
Okay.
Or plant. That's a lot of carrots. We will generally do. I like to do 4 beds at a time, but I just don't have the room right now to put the carrots in under cover. If I have my choice, carrots will go under a tunnel. Carrot tops don't like to be wet, and they would get really wet from here on out. So, but we'll do one big planting of carrots. Oh, probably about March, and that'll be the only planting of carrots I do. Probably do about 6 beds.
Are you gonna do those outside?
Yeah, I'll have to do them outside. So.
No,
But-
we appreciate carrots whenever we have them.
Oh yeah, I love. Now's the time to be growing carrots because they have such good flavor when it's cold. So we'll do that in the spring, and then in the fall, probably about September, we'll put carrots in the ground. We didn't get that done last year, so we'll put a big. I don't know. By that time, we'll probably have. I'm hoping to have another tunnel, so we'll have 4 rows in a tunnel for the all winter long. 4 beds. Yeah. And tunnel. That's the plan.
Salanova needs to come out.
I think so.
It's just done.
Yeah, I'd rather plant direct seeds and baby greens in that bed if we don't have the Salanova to go. So.
They popped up. Things out of the germ chamber.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that was our first batch through the germ chamber, and
The one that's out there.
no, the one that's in the greenhouse now.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know but those are still going to be a month out, so I can get.
Oh yeah.
By the time those go in the ground and get ready to harvest, we could actually put baby greens. I could have probably hot soy and arugula put in the ground direct seeded and probably harvesting by the time we're getting ready to put those in the ground and out. Or spinach. No, I probably still couldn't get spinach. Baby spinach. Yeah, the beehive getting this in production. I'm looking forward. We got some new swarm traps last year, so soon as April, March, late March, we'll probably start putting swarm traps out for spring.
They're vertical.
Well, those are made for they have vertical frames in them, but that doesn't mean we don't have to use the vertical hive. But, so I'm the tag and B have been buying the styrofoam ones, poly, whatever they are. But try that too.
See if they get blown around just as much.
Well, I don't think they get blown around. I don't know.
I
Have
don't
to
know.
order some.
We've got a couple of hives, but we are not very good beekeepers.
Well, time is our enemy with bees, and keeping on top of checking on them and doing all that stuff, and that's what we're not very good at.
Yeah, you kind of the impression that we originally got was they're pretty low maintenance. Like, oh yeah, you just kind of check on them now and then, and well, that was not exactly the case because
Yeah.
they swarmed and adios they went, and actually it's quite of an investment because we bought queens, and then the next year since they left
We caught a
we
swarm, I think, that year, the second year.
yeah, and then another time we had actually bought a couple of frames full of bees and put in there, and yeah, we're just not very good at it.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at it because they like to sting me, so I don't know what the deal is there, even with stuff.
I don't have a problem with them stinging me. So, and David, our son, is the one who generally takes care of them, tries to. So I've been trying to, and I'm not. I grew up around bees here and there, but never dealt with it very much. So,
Well, cutting trees a lot, you would end up getting into a natural hive here and there, and
when I was doing urban forestry, we'll say, did a lot of hives. So, but
yeah,
that's just because I cut their home down.
it was good honey when you brought it home.
So, but that's what I was doing after work, working on that, and then I've been working on the rock for the greenhouse. So, got a few more boards up for that, and then that. Bok choy is easy to grow. We got seeds for the springs. It will be new for me. Bok choy is very easy to grow.
I think it is.
Flea beetles are your only nemesis for bok choy, really. So I think that's about all that messes around with them. I'm sure cutworms and things like that will mess with them, but we've never had much issue with that. So keeping up on like neem oil, something on that will keep the aphids down on them. But we've never had much insect damage from anything on bok choy.
No.
So we prefer the smaller ones. I can't remember which one we were talking about last night because we were just getting ready
we
to.
did Joy Choy last year, and they grew like they were like 12 inches tall.
12, 15 inches
They
tall.
were
Yeah.
huge. It was really hard to even manage them after you cut them.
Well, as far as what we could do for us, I mean, for cooking, to sell them was hard.
To sell them it was hard, but I mean, even if you were the person receiving it, trying to store it into your refrigerator without it squishing and breaking all apart and whatnot would have been really hard. But the I forget what the little green ones are that we were talking about last night, because they have a purple one too.
No, I can't remember what the green one is. Yeah, there's a green variety, but no, bok choy is very, very easy to grow. I think.
Yeah. Not
much management at all to it.
No, they like water. Of course, they're kind of like a celery type stalk if you've never had them before. Cooking them is something that we really haven't gotten hold of how we really like to eat them.
No, there's a lot of Asian ways. I mean, soups and that kind of stuff. But
we tried grilling them, and it
wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad, and maybe it was because of the variety that we had. You know how big they were. Maybe the smaller ones would have been a lot easier to season up a lot, so that you had some flavor there. But
I think the ones we're growing this year are that. What I say, they're only like 6 inches tall or something like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, at the most, yeah. Yeah, you'll have fun growing them. They're like we said, they're real easy to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the other thing I was going to add to our list we're working on a list right now for um, we're kind of we're getting consultation and kind of revamping how we're doing some of the stuff on the farm on the
Mhm.
vegetable side. And so we've been asked to put in a list of what we can grow and what we can sell and what we can move. And of course, we can grow a lot of things that necessarily we don't think are worth selling, i.e., green beans. We will grow green beans, but we will not sell green beans because the labor to pick green beans and then sell them is ridiculous. So
Yes.
we pick them and we eat them and can them and store them up for ourselves. Um, but it's just not worth selling. What $5-6 a pound is what you'd have to charge to
At the minimum.
yeah to
Mhm.
do much with them
Mhm.
unless you had a green bean picker, which they do make those, but a mechanized thing. But one of the other things I've been thinking about, and I think we will, because we do a lot of cut and come again. So you cut it and it keeps
Mhm.
growing. Cut it, and keeps growing. Is dandelion greens,
Oh,
um, which is a bitter green, but they say the health benefits within the dandelion greens are crazy good. So,
yeah. Is it the well? Yeah, that's what I've heard.
so
And they're well, I mean, even the flowers, if you if you let them go that far, but even the flowers are edible. I mean, because
yeah, but the dandelion greens are a little. These are a little different. I mean,
do they
they don't
actually?
flower.
Oh, they don't
No, you
flower.
don't let them flower. I mean,
Well, I know you
that's.
don't let them flower, but can they flower?
I imagine they could. I don't know. We've
Hmm.
never grown actual dandelion greens, but these are a more upright. They get about 10 inches tall or something like that. So
That'd be pretty cool. So then I wonder if we chop them and
yeah, people put them in salad mixes because it's a little bit bitter. When it gets hot, they get really bitter, but you can grow them 12 months out of the year.
hmm,
Now, they don't like really cold, but they'll survive with
yeah,
row cover and stuff. So
that'd be
good evening,
interesting.
hypocrites.
I
So
can just imagine somebody going, "What are these dandelions?
I'm not paying for
You
dandelions.
want me to eat a weed? What?"
So, no,
That's funny.
I can imagine bitter greens are something that are kind of a new thing, but it's also an acquired
Yeah.
taste to some degree because they can get stronger and stronger. So,
Mm, yeah, I'm not a mustard green person, so
and that's more of a spicy. I'm not. That's not a bitter. That's me.
well, true. Yeah,
So,
it's more peppery,
yeah.
not like arugula.
But yeah,
Oh. Hmm. Okay. Well,
that's what I've been doing this
that's
evening.
what you've been doing. So, oh, so dandelion is what we're. Are you going to put it into the list of things?
Yeah, it's a bunching green.
Oh, okay. I was thinking you cut it into the lettuce mix kind of deal. Hmm. Okay. Well, on the talking about
Hypocrites has been doing the FSA thing, so
FS. Oh.
the land rent and who all that stuff. So yeah, we have to fill out paperwork like that every year too.
I heard it. They said it was well. So we do rent a little bit of land from Andrew's great uncle for cows, and they had his daughter had contacted us about that, and she's like, "Yeah, they said it'd only take 30 minutes, and I'm on like 2 hours."
Yeah.
She's like, "This is ridiculous," and we haven't had to do that quite yet, or at least I haven't seen it. Or
No, we don't have to do very much of it.
okay,
Very,
good because I
yeah.
haven't seen it
No,
that we would have to. Yeah.
no, we do different FSA because we're owners of a lot of the other stuff. So because we're
Well,
the
that's true.
operators, so we
That's
get the
true.
other end of it.
So
But
we're buffering?
no, I think he's buffering because it's just brain hurts. So
Oh, okay.
he's sitting there now just buffering.
Okay. Because last week we had a storm come through and we were having connection issues.
And it looks like our connections are not great tonight either. Doesn't look like it's popping up. So
I don't know.
I haven't gotten around to looking at the Starlink, but hopefully it's doing.
So Randy, we run a cow calf pair. Um, we do custom grazing, and then we have 9 cows of our own. But the custom grazing is a Black Angus.
They're straight Black Angus. They're out of actually. These were first year heifers last year. They were first year heifers
Yeah.
out of North Dakota. is where they were bought out of and brought in. Luckily, we didn't have to calve the first time heifers, so that was a good thing. But we've got them now, and they were put on with Charolais bulls. Not my favorite, but they are what they are. Charolais tend to be a bigger breed. Um, that's right, Brenda. Charolais tend to be a bigger breed and sometimes harder to calve, but um, then I'll let you go ahead and finish what you were saying.
Okay, so then ours, we have South Poles that are in with the herd, and they are an older group of girls. They're the grandmas. We got
Yeah,
one that's 13,
12 or 13. Yeah,
12 or 13 years old. I'd have to look at the tag and see again. But we got them at the beginning of the year, about May ish, somewhere around in there, and then have had babies off of them. So right now, you might have seen that we had put some bulls out. We gotten bulls from a neighbor, actually the guy that we got the South bulls from. He had a couple of younger bulls that he brought over so that they could be serviced and we can have some calves again next fall.
yeah, yeah. The South Pole, Randy had said he had pulled Herefords, and the South Pole is a quarter Hereford. It's quarter Red Angus, quarter Hereford, quarter Barzona, and quarter. I can never remember what the last quarter of that breed was, but um, I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with South Poles, but they were actually started. Oh, they're about 25 years, maybe 30-year-old cow breed now, but they were started by Teddy Gentry, which he's the lead singer of Alabama down in Alabama. So, but that's where the breed actually come from. So,
And they typically are a shorter cow, not as
yeah,
much leg,
yep.
just a stockier, little shorter cow, so that you're running what 1,000 pounds max,
No,
maybe
no,
out
no, no,
of
no, 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 no. They can,
1,200.
yeah, 1,200 cow pounds. I mean, there are people in the breed that try to get them and will get them down to 900 to 1,000 pounds. So that's where they like their cows, which is fine. But they are a grass genetic cow. I mean,
Hmm.
that's what they've been bred for. Is the stipulations he wanted something that would finish on grass, that was very docile, and then something that was a very, very good mother that he didn't have to worry about. And the other big stipulation was they had to be able to breed in the heat. So these cows, they they don't mind the heat at all.
Hmm.
They take the cold well as well, but the heat. I mean, we've seen bulls out there in the middle of July breeding up here when it's 95 degrees and 96% humidity. I mean, it's just miserable, but the bulls are out there doing what they're supposed to be doing. So
Yeah, and they're more of a docile breed too. I mean, as far as they're very mother nurturing, but they don't try to kill you if you go tagging up on their baby. You know,
oh
they're
yeah, no,
they're
I've never had
they're
much problem with
protective,
them.
but not like they're gonna kill you like an Angus would.
No, no. Yeah,
So
we do a sort of mob grazing. We do a very much the young pup is after the old dog, but we move them every day. Generally speaking, in the wintertime, we don't generally have to move them every day, about every other day or so. But it depends
it
on
depends.
what the grass is and all that other stuff. So we run stockpile and rotationally graze, mob graze, and do all that. So, but yeah, short and stocky can have its advantages. I would agree. But let's see. What else you got?
Oh, I don't know. I was gonna. You were talking about the dandelions and the nutrition on them. I come across an article on cows and milk
Milk
and
cows or cow's milk?
both, and it had to do with the A1 protein that is in commercial your um oh what are they What's your commercial cow?
Holsteins,
Holsteins.
generally Holsteins.
But most actually of American cows being A1, and where A2 actually came into play with the A1, according to this article, the protein that in it is actually has a natural opioid within the protein
Hmm.
that um, is what is messing with like everybody's gut and inflammation
Oh yeah,
and all that kind of stuff. And it really kind of went down into how France still has a pure A2 herd over there.
A2.
A2.
Yeah.
And they have been very strict as far as which cows and
Oh, yeah.
whatnot that they breed back.
Kind of like Kobe beef and
Right.
what we were listening to
Right.
the other day with that. But yeah,
But it was just an interesting article about the A1 and A2 and how the A2 is broken, how it broke off and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it was the article that they were or the book that they were referencing was The Devil's in the Milk, but the devil was the A2 gene
Yeah.
and the opioid that is the natural in there that's not good for any of us at all.
Yeah.
But the old cows, the old fashioned cows, like Jerseys and the brown Swisses, and there was like one or two more that where you typically find those A2 genes at, that we need to start breeding back.
Well, just like anything else.
Right. We need to start being selective and taking those A1 cows out.
Brenda had asked if they were good. Are they good for first time heifers? And she's talking about South Poles, but we've never had anybody complain about. Again, I think it's with the most genetics that are out there with the bulls have been easy calving bull birth weights.
Yeah.
So we've never had anybody complain about issues about having stuck calves or anything with the South Pole. In fact, that's one of the things that we really liked about them was they were so easy calving, even these young cows, so heifers and stuff. So
well, and it's the old timers, the old cow guys that still want a cow, are basically moving their herd to the South Poles because of how easygoing and just how much of an easier cow they are.
Yeah, Voss, which is down by Central Missouri. I'm not sure how old he is. Him and his wife still run in South Pole, and they've been in South Pole for a long time. But they are, I believe, they're up in their upper 80s, then maybe 90s, lower 90s. They still run their cows every day, and they rotate them. They do have hired hand. I know a hired hand, at least one, but they still deal with them and they still tag and they do all that stuff themselves. And I think this year they were actually running yearling bulls with their South Poles, so their whole herd was bred by yearling bulls.
Well, that's the other thing; they mature a lot faster too.
Not necessarily mature faster, but they definitely are very fertile animals. There has been, and I can't remember specifics on what this was and what the breed was, but I know there's been specific studies done on a certain number of the bulls within the breed on the South Pole. And there was one that they did some DNA testing on, and he serviced a single bull, serviced something like 80 head or 80 cows in that single. I think it was like a 60-day or 90-day period. It was crazy. So, not that I would necessarily rely on that, but good evening, Indiana Mike, and good evening, Brenda. We didn't say good evening when she came in, so
that's true. Well, sticking on cows, I had also seen where I don't know if this is just something that has always been, or it's just being more brought aware about, but it sounds like there's an uptick in cattle feeding. I had heard.
Where'd you hear that at? Local?
YouTube.
Oh. Okay.
Just a guy that gives reports, on the other side of the country, like
Was that
Colorado, Texas, and
what's his name? I can't.
Yancey TV.
Oh, Yancey TV.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was pretty interesting
Yeah.
that
Yeah. That's right.
that's true.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, it's interesting because I got a call today about somebody else interested in custom grazing. So which
Mhm.
they came across the old post, and so we had talked a little bit and just how numbers were working and the way land prices and rent prices are going, and how it's just as cheap anymore to custom graze and have somebody else do it. Now, his downfall was that he's obviously trusting somebody else to calve his cows, but by the time it's said and done, he said by the time I travel and fuel and all this other stuff. So, do we have black walnut? Yeah, we have a pretty good stock of black walnut around. We did a log cutting. Oh, what was that? A month or two ago,
Mhm.
and didn't the timber at some point had a tornado actually go through it many years ago.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, um, but it had a lot of trash trees, what I'm going to call trash trees, in the fact that there's just not much wildlife benefit. Things like there are, but there's not hackberry and things like this. That I decided that there was some nice oak, some really nice white oak in there, some really giant red oak. So we selectively cut the white oak and left quite a bit of the white oak. Cut pretty heavy on the red oak, but we were really kind of surprised on how much walnut was actually in there. First initial, we didn't think there was a lot, but some. But yeah, we did really. We have lots of black walnut, so we collect. We've got several around, but there's lots of buyers around in the fall that will. You just pick up the walnuts, throw them in the back of the truck, and clean them out, and they'll hull them and do all that stuff. Pay you by the pound. So.
I thought about doing a walnut grove.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's one of the things down the road. But the reason we gone and done the harvesting of the trees is to open up that and actually get more of a um,
Civil pasture.
yeah. I heard a 18 wheeler or something go down across the road. So,
Oh.
but yeah, do more silvopasture, get some more grass in it, um, more wildlife benefit and things like that.
Randy says, "Do you float the walnuts in their shells in the dog's water bowl? The old timers always did that when I was a kid on a homestead, and their dogs
Never had.
never had any intestinal parasites." I have heard of that. It's kind of like eating diatomaceous earth.
Imagine it's probably. I
And
wonder if it has something to do with the tannins and the because that's what makes black walnuts the black and stain and all that. Your hands is the tannin in the thing.
well, and if you have bugs in your house, I've heard that you put.
That's hedge balls.
I thought it was the leaves of
Oh yeah, you probably could do. Yeah, probably
walnut.
could do walnut leaves too. I guess.
But I also know that walnuts are toxic to horses.
Yeah,
Of course, anything's toxic to a horse. So,
just like cherry tree is for a cow.
well,
So,
true. Yeah, true.
but yeah, they have a yeah. So, but yeah, we've got. I have to read more on that because that's interesting. But I know that like the pigs and stuff will eat walnuts pretty well.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
it's not their favorite. I mean, they'll go after a white acorn, white oak acorn long before they will a walnut. But
Well, when Emily is out with us and out by the gardens, she's
yeah,
always underneath the walnut tree, eating eating the shells and whatnot. If you don't know who Emily is, she
yeah.
is our pet. She's our fifth dog, but is a pig. She was
She's
a
not,
runt.
she's not really a pet pig.
She's not really a pet pig.
She was a runt that had a real hard life, and she's never grown much. So
No, she hasn't.
she walks around and thinks she can walk in the house, and the doors are open. So she does.
She thinks she's a dog.
Yeah, and
Now she starts playing with them.
as Hippocrates says that they have the chemical that kills or stunts other plants. So,
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
but,
Learned that in horticulture.
no.
Yep.
You don't have a list tonight.
I don't have a list tonight. I don't know. I was trying to think of what happened all this past week, and besides yesterday, I can't remember much.
What
I
did you
know
do
last
yesterday?
we had your family
Oh,
Christmas.
yeah, we went down to Central Missouri for the day, I guess.
Yeah, we shored up in the morning and headed south. It was good.
Yep.
Did a little shopping, because when you go to I say city, I don't know that it's really a city, but I guess it is.
More than what we got.
More than what we have. You're like, ooh, let's go in there real fast. And
Let's
get
stop
a
by
few things.
Harbor Freight and get some woodworking tools. And
Yeah, well, I guess that's really what we have been working on is the kitchen. You've been working on the kitchen,
yeah, we have been.
and
House is always trying to finish up the house and pick up stuff. We're supposed to have the um, county health inspector coming in. We've got a certified kitchen, so I've been trying to get it cleaned up and prepped and getting stuff in the other kitchen. And so we have two kitchens going on and all kinds of stuff. But
yeah, yep.
that's right. If she didn't have a list, I can't be on it. So I've probably got a bigger list here. So
I know. I was
of things for me myself to do.
well. We've had to do lists, of getting. I think really what we've been focusing on is crops, is figuring out the rest of the plan for the year for planting,
Yeah, because we're running behind on that for sure.
and
Oh, there is a list. Very, very big long list. I just don't look at the list, Randy.
the list is all in my head. I don't ever write it down, and
And I don't mind read, remember?
Uh, I'll have to send you to the class so that you know how to do that. But no, I think it's mostly just been like focusing on crops and just
Well,
getting ourselves organized before everything superly kicks off.
I think that's the hardest thing. And she laughs when I say this, but I'm a very organized person. I'm the most unorganized organized person. I like to be organized, but I am not organized. And that's just because I'm running around with I might as well be a chicken with my head cut off. I mean, that's just how I do things. And I enjoy clean, I enjoy organized, but I don't do it well.
You're organized in your own little way.
Oh, that's that's not organized. That's just being nice. So
Well,
small print, I remember.
yes. And yeah, and Mike asked how the germ chamber is working out.
Working really good. Um, we've got a crop of micros out, lettuce, spinach, and micros need to go back in. And been kind of we've always done microgreens for the last 2 years, 3 years, something like that. But with the germ chamber, it's always been one of those things that we didn't know anything about the microgreens. So I left the microgreens in there too long because generally speaking, you'll keep microgreens stacked for depending on what they are.
Up to 7 days. Some
Oh
of
no,
them.
more. Some of them are 14 days.
Yeah.
I mean, but 3 to 5 days is pretty typical, somewhere in that range. And sunflowers and radishes are 3 to 5 days, I believe. Well, I left them in for 3 days, and they sprouted really well, and then they molded. So they get composted, but it's certain things. And what we're learning is the germ chamber is literally that it's a germ chamber. So it's a constant 70 degrees with the humidity high so that we can get them to germinate. And then you take them out and
Then they
obviously
grow.
then they grow. And that's how you can fluctuate. Like in the greenhouse, I can bring the temperature down to 60. But if we wanted to put a heat mat underneath of them, I can, the germination is already there. So the process is there. So now it's just how fast do I want them to grow? And so if I want to keep it 50 in the greenhouse, then I can make them grow a lot slower. But
That's a mind shift, actually,
oh yeah, yeah,
because we're used to cranking the heat up in the greenhouse just to get them to germinate.
correct. That's and trying to
And
keep that up there the whole time. So,
yeah,
but the germ chambers worked out really, really well. I'm really happy with this thus far. So,
yeah, and we added another crock pot.
and they could go into chicken feed just as well. Hippocrates. I mean, very much so. The chickens would absolutely love the sunflowers.
Yeah.
Absolutely devour
Well, we
them.
haven't composted them yet,
No, they're
so
sitting back there.
they would.
One of them hasn't molded, and so we'll go off of that a little bit. We'll
We'll eat
pick
it.
and we'll eat it, but the moldy one, yeah, the chickens would absolutely devour that thing. So
Yeah.
that's a good idea. So
We'll get them moved first.
yeah, chickens are in the high tunnel in their tropical oasis right now, and it's 50 today, so 50 tomorrow, 50 the next day. So we're going to move them out into an overgrown garden that had peppers and tomatoes in it, and they're going to get that. So they're going to go into a new jungle and tromp that down. And
They've done a good job cleaning that up.
good. I haven't been in there, so
Yeah. It won't be much to
that
get the rest of it.
and they're going to have to come out because we've got stuff to put in it. So
Well, yeah, we need to prep it up. Yeah, we need to prep it. But that actually worked out really well this year. The storm that came in and them having shelter,
yeah,
I guess you would say.
yeah. We've toyed with the idea. Randy was talking about an incubator, and we've toyed with the idea of getting an incubator and doing that, and that's probably something we will invest in here in the spring. We were going to buy some chickens anyways, but um, we're going to move back more towards a 3-year rotation is what we're planning on. So we can incubate 2 out of those 3 breeds pretty easily.
Well, we're at a heritage breed.
No, right now,
No,
not mostly. We're not.
but
We
we're
have a
gonna go
mix.
back to a heritage breed.
We're going to go back to a heritage breed. We're going to go back to an all strip 1 year. The next year we're going to do.
Brahmas.
Well, I don't know if we're going to do Brahmas or not, but I knew we were talking about Barred Rock, all strip.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then we've been doing the
Rhode Island Reds. We always like too.
yeah. So and that's what this is mixed with the production red birds is what we've got a lot of, and there's a special name for whichever one we've got. I can't remember which one it is. Cinnamon queens and stuff like that, but they are a Rhode Island red crossed with a leghorn, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And so and people complain that they've got cannibalistic and stuff like that, and I'm sure there's certain breeds of them in those productions that they do, but we've never had an issue with them. We don't debeak, we don't do anything. So we've been pretty happy. So that's what we're going to do with the chickens is we're going to do a 3-year rotation so that we know we don't have to tag them. We don't have to do this stuff. We just do one breed. The next year we do another breed, and then so that we'll have a year and a half, essentially a doubling for our production.
Yeah.
But I would love to be able to move more towards the incubator because we've got enough barn cats that doesn't work. So, and then we collect enough eggs that we can't. So,
Well, right now we don't have a rooster, but
that's very true. That doesn't help at all. So. We generally do keep a rooster when they're out on pasture.
We could just slow cook the eggs.
Yeah, when they're out on pasture, just because it's amazing the predator awareness a rooster does for the chickens. So we generally do keep roosters with our eggs. So
yes, we just had a trash panda that was not so nice that
took the rooster.
The rooster. So. But the other thing that last year we did numbers on it, and we ended up buying pullets instead of chicks.
Yeah.
Because they actually end up being cheaper, even though they cost more at one time. They're cheaper than growing them from day old chicks up to the point where they start laying. And
as far as egg layers go.
Yeah, as far as egg layers go. But the downfall that we have found on that is there's really not a whole lot of pullets out there.
There's
close to us.
Correct. Yeah.
That we can get a hold of.
Illinois seems to be one as far as heritage breeds. We do have an individual family that has over towards the east that has. We've found that the
kids like growing birds. And
I guess
selling them.
So and we get a pretty good price on those, and that's why we have the production reds. But for us to get a heritage breed like that, then we have to go over to Illinois, I think, and they were happy to do it. And the price again, it was penciling out. It was still cheaper for us to go buy a
$15 bird.
But
it was $15.
Was $15 bird for that and
Yeah.
then have a month or less of egg production started than for us to raise, because we've got a brooder, and we've obviously we've got a nice brooder that we can do our meat birds in. So that's what we
Mhm.
normally did in the wintertime, is we kept layers, and we raised layers in the wintertime, so that in the spring we'd move them out and move our meat birds in.
Mhm.
And it just, by the time you had your labor in it and the heat lamps and all this other stuff, it just wasn't worth it. So we decided that's where we're going to go. That doesn't mean necessarily that that's where we're going to go in the future, because
No.
all kinds of stuff changes. So
Now, the one thing though I will say is we at one time thought that it was a neat idea to put our our pullets, the the hens that we had raised, in with the meat chickens, because we didn't want to put the pullets in with the hens yet because they were too small
mhm.
to even get up into the mobile coop, and that did not work out. Like, not at all. They did become very not nice to each other. It was
Chickens aren't very nice. Yeah.
they it was it was not that was a very learned process of don't do that ever again. Yeah.
Randy's talking about raising quail
That'd be
just for
fun.
more diversity. Quail and rabbits are on my list of to dos. Um, and quail more so for novelty and for the
Pheasants.
eggs.
I would like
Yeah,
pheasants.
pheasants. We have wild pheasants around very rarely, but we do have them. Um, but the rabbits I want to get not only for rabbit meat, but for the fertilizer
Mhm.
and the composting of stuff. So those are definitely ones of that I'd like to do for sure. Quail egg I've heard is really good, and I would I think within 24 days they start laying eggs. I think is what they're. It's something crazy. I don't know what it was.
So how are those different than the wild quail that we have around? Are they not?
Well, no, the quail are quail. I mean, quail is a species of bird.
Yeah.
They're subspecies. I'm sure
So are
you.
they like a chicken? They'll just stay around if you raise them up
No, no, no.
from.
Quail, you have to have pins. You have to
Oh,
raise quail in pins. So,
oh,
they're not like a guinea or a chicken. And
oh.
and guineas will walk everywhere around everywhere anyway. So
So they're
chickens a little bit not so much, but um, yeah. What?
so they're a bird in a cage.
Yeah, they're a cage. They're a caged bird,
That sounds like work.
but they get eggs. No, so no, you don't. Quail aren't very much work.
Oh, okay.
Rabbits are an animal in a cage, but you move the cage every day. Chickens are
Well,
a
that's
bird in a
true.
cage.
That's true. Kevin and Sarah live in at
At
Living
living tradition.
Traditions. Raise quail there.
Yeah.
I'll have to look them up then. Let's see. We just have so many quail. But I guess well, Barbie's used to have quail, didn't she? Or were that she had
She had
guineas,
guineas.
but did she have quail too?
No, they collected guinea eggs.
Oh, okay. Because
So
those were little. Those were
yeah,
like
guinea
half
eggs are
dollar size.
yeah, they're pretty small.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Hypocrite says I've never hunted deer and not sure about my processing capabilities. There was a roadkill in front of the yard yesterday. 8 point buck ended up being pretty beat up, but got some practice at least. Good way.
That would be a good way. So did you eat the meat or did you feed it to the animals?
So
Because sometimes,
we've used to do that. When I used to work for the state over closer towards the city,
yeah,
we'd get calls and I'd go over and I'd just cut the meat out of what was good, and then now I would feed it to the chickens as I would do as a thing.
or the cats, or
Well, yeah, I mean a lot of stuff, but then I would also go ahead and skin it and either tan the hide or make buckskin out of it. So
yeah, you just gotta be careful with them being hit. But a as far as processing them, I mean, there's really not much to it.
well, no, there's not. But if you've never done it before, then you know never before. So,
Oh, yeah. Well, that's true. I
but
mean, yeah. So the one thing I don't know if you eat a lot of venison or deer meat, but
no.
that is what basically we grew up
Well, then you
on.
didn't grow up on.
No,
Our
I mean,
kids
like,
grew up.
our marriage whenever we first got married, that was, like, our staple meat. because we couldn't afford anything else. And so the kids,
But I could afford to go hunting all the
well,
time.
but you were up here anyways. So I mean, the kids grew up on, well, Ella did. Our oldest did. She grew up, deer meat was
It's
her
almost
basic.
strictly, yeah.
Yeah, strictly deer meat. But a few years back, I found an awesome recipe. Missouri Conservation actually put it out for corned venison, and it is awesome. You just take any roast piece or just hunk of meat and you brine it for like 5 or 7 days in this mixture, and it turns out absolutely great,
Yeah.
absolutely wonderful. So we haven't taken any deer in the past couple years, and I only got one last year.
Got one last year.
Got one last year,
That deer
but
meat didn't last very long.
It doesn't last very long in this house.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but we didn't take any this year.
He did get the pelt off and did some cutting on the legs and such.
Good.
He never punctured the gut, so that's
That is a plus. That is
yeah.
a plus.
Yeah, venison's really good in summer sausage. Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to that was one of our other things we
Mhm.
did a lot back in the day, so still enjoy it, but we do a lot of we used to do a lot of trapping and stuff like that, so we always have pelts, and it doesn't take me very long to skin an animal anymore once I get into some practice. So I actually built a skinning machine that works off a winch. I can take actually a raccoon or a um, coyote or something, and in about 3 minutes have a pelt completely off and pretty clean. So
Yeah,
it
that
works for
works.
a deer too. I just didn't have enough height with it. So,
Yeah, it works out pretty good.
but
We need to do a lot more trapping.
yeah,
A lot more
yeah,
trapping.
coyotes are going crazy tonight out there, right just south of the cows. I'm not sure, but all the calves are big enough that it'd take a heck of a coyote to maybe mess around with them at this point. So,
I'm hoping the mountain lion thing doesn't like come to huge fruition.
well, we've got a cat. There's been several pictures. We'll just say that are trail cams, and it's been spotted several times, and some unexplained things. Will one of the neighbors down the road here uh, had cows that blew over our fence. I mean, and these cows were not.
Mhm.
It was only like 6 or 7, maybe 12 cows.
There's feedlot cows. I mean,
Well, no, I don't think they were that even, but they were. They're pretty docile, he said, and he got up the next morning and there was cows
they're
over
all
all
over the
over,
highway.
and they blew right through the fence, and that was just not normal. So I don't know, but yeah, they've had 2 or 3 different trail cams now catch a mountain lion. And generally speaking, what we get around here, or we have in the past, it's been it's still a rare occurrence, but it's a transient male looking for new territory. We've never had a documented breeding female. We've never had cubs of a mountain lion in Missouri recorded. That doesn't mean they're not here. That just means they haven't been recorded. So we'll just see. I mean, territories expand, and they brought the black bear. Black bears are starting to come back in Missouri pretty heavy now through Arkansas and that. So we got elk, and
Got elk.
mountain lions make you a little bit more nervous just for the fact that it doesn't take much for a mountain lion to take down a calf. Or I've seen a horse in pretty bad condition from a mountain lion when I was younger. So
Well, even just walking out in the middle of the not in the middle of the night, but you know, like now it's only almost 8 o'clock, and
makes you a little uneasy.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's dark out, and you never know if that stupid thing's gonna be hiding behind the shed or not.
Well, not going to generally be hunting behind the shed, but yeah. So they did a lot of hypocrites. Family did a lot of fishing. So
Yeah, we did too. Yeah.
yeah, did a lot of row crop. Yeah, you guys did a lot of fishing, and well, I did too. I mean, I didn't grow up on the farm. I grew up on a farm when I was real young, and then we moved into town for school, and then I came up here on this farm when I was younger and worked up here quite a bit. But this is where I always enjoyed being, but didn't live on the farm. So
And I grew up just outside of the city,
which is now in the middle of the city.
which is now in the middle of the city. So we had farm ground around us. It was around our subdivision. But it definitely dwindled away pretty quickly. But we did a lot of bass fishing. We would go out to the lake, and Dad was a big bass fisher. He would go hunting. He never took me. I don't know why.
He didn't want you showing him up.
Well, that or he just was trying to get away from
Oh yeah,
kids and whatever. I don't know.
we did a
But
lot of river fishing, not lake fishing. So a lot of catfish
yeah,
on the
you guys
Missouri River.
cheated. You
Oh,
guys did
that
cheat
too.
fishing. That was what I called it when they went jugging.
Well, we did that
You
too.
put out jugs and then you wait.
Catch
I
a
was
lot
an
of-
I
catch
was
a lot
an
of fish.
active fisher.
Well, we did that too. We throw out jugs and then you go active fish. So, yeah, we've got a lot of turkeys up here. Uh, he had them walk through the yard. We've had turkeys walk
Sweet.
through the gardens right behind here and
Yeah.
do that. And it's not out of the ordinary for us to have deer coming close to the gardens. We try to keep them out of the gardens, but so
I was just gonna say it's nice to see that stuff, but then on the other hand, the result of that is no crops because then you have to battle keeping them out of what you don't want them to have.
yeah, that's pretty
But it's
easy.
nice to see them.
That's pretty easy we can do hotline pretty easy for keeping deer out if we want to.
Well, when we did beans, you could really see there was
yeah.
a few years that we actually did some row crop before we had the cows, and there was a couple spots that, I mean, it was it was a night and day difference. You can see where all the deer would
Oh,
come in and graze.
You'd have 5-foot beans next to 2-foot beans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Trot lines at night when camping. Lots of fun. That's right.
Oh, that was so cold.
Well,
Trout lines at night. That is so cold.
Not in the middle of July when it's 100 degrees outside.
Well, that's
nice.
true.
We always used to like sit on the sandbar, put the rod out there, put a bell on the thing, and we like flathead fishing at night and wait for the bell to ring. So
sounds like Hypocrites was kind of like your town. You could throw the ball across the city limits.
we had one stoplight, and that was an upgrade in the town. So yeah, we grew up in a pretty small town. Originally we moved to a bigger town because my mother didn't want us going to a town that had a graduating class of like 6 people in the school. So we moved to a town where we had maybe 2,000 people back in the day in that town, which isn't a tiny town, but we were surrounded by little bitty tiny towns. So
yeah.
So
mine was a little bit bigger than that.
Hey, prep for Eternity Homestead. Welcome. So, but yeah, fishing at night in the hot summer days. That was wintertime fishing it's kind of miserable in the river.
Oh.
I took her once. Oh, it was late fall, boy, and it got down below freezing, and the heater didn't turn on where we were going on the trailer, and I didn't realize that. It was cold. We were already wet and cold.
No. Yeah. It's a good thing we were just seeing each other because, yeah, I probably would have gotten in the car and said, I'll see you tomorrow. I don't know. But
cottonseed cake. Yep. On his trot lines. Yep. On Hypocrites. Yeah, there's cottonseed cakes.
Cake?
Yeah.
What is that?
I don't even know how to explain it. It's
okay. You're gonna have to explain it.
It's not really a sponge, but carp come up and suck on the cake and get tangled in the hook. We would take a can of cream corn and take the label off of it, drill holes in the can, put a weight on it, and drop it, and then you'd mark where that can was. And carp,
you're baiting.
You're chumming for carp, and so the carp would know, and then you just come back to the same place, and there'd be carp around there. You just put corn on the hook, and they'd come running for that corn. So, but yeah,
I imagine the cottonseed is like
yeah, it's like a dough.
It's just a dough.
It's not really a dough, but
yeah. That
So
way, yeah, it just holds the goo.
I think cottonseed itself, it's kind of like crazy enough. My grandfather had come up to me one day and said, "We're going to use ivory soap for catfishing." And yeah, whatever, but it actually does work. I don't know what it is about ivory soap, but you could catch a fish and wash your hands at the same time. But
Well,
they
that
would
would
eat it.
work.
They would take it ivory soap. The harder thing was getting on the hook without breaking the soap. You'd actually have to kind of mold it and put a hole in it.
Oh,
So
warm it up a little bit, maybe.
yeah, see, Randy says ivory soap does work. It's the craziest thing. I wouldn't believe him for the longest time, and finally we started catching them, and we caught a heck of a lot of fish after that with the ivory soap for a while.
So, Hypocrite says when you press the cotton seed for oil, you are left with a hard board from the compressed
Seed,
seed. Okay,
had to cut it.
gotcha. Interesting. That's a southern thing.
Well, cotton's a southern thing.
Cotton's a southern thing.
Catfish aren't real smart.
No.
No, they go after taste more than anything else, I guess. So
Yeah, see,
instinctual.
we never did the whole catfishing thing. We
Yeah,
were crappie and bass.
yeah. You were clean fish.
We were clean fish. Clean.
I can remember some of the nastiest smells in my life while
Oh,
fishing. I mean, shad and entrails, and
oh.
the boat was bloody all the time.
And if the bait got left out in the heat,
Oh,
it was
sometimes it was left on the
great
heat
for the
on
next
purpose.
day.
On purpose.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Stinky stuff. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
I still
I do like catfish though.
I do too.
I do like
I don't know what it is
catfish.
about cat. I mean, crappie and all that's good, and I like a white fish, but there's something about catfish. We caught several nice, real big flatheads, and enough that where we were catching 35-pound flatheads, and you'd fillet the fillet on the catfish because the fillet was that thick on that catfish, and you just have to cut it 3 or 4 times, and man, it just melts in your mouth. So cleaning buffalo, yeah, I never did get into buffalo and carp, and I've always heard they were really bony. Now, some people would barbecue some of that stuff,
What's a buffalo?
kind of like a carp. We don't have them. They're not. People don't catch them around here very often. They
Mm.
do, but um, we have drum too, and
Yeah, we have
people
drum.
eat drum, and I don't know, bony fish. I
I
never
got
really went with
paddlefish
it.
too. Isn't that what they're called?
Yeah, catfishing is something bad done online. What'd you call it? What'd you ask me?
I asked about the paddlefish. Don't we have paddlefish?
Oh
Isn't
yeah,
that what they're called?
yeah, paddle. Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't.
Or you
I've never went paddle fishing really. You snag them.
snagging. That's what. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go snagging. Yeah.
That and sturgeon. Never did do anything with sturgeon, but
Walleye's good though.
yeah.
Yeah.
How'd we get? Yeah, fishing, catfishing. That's hilarious.
Oh my goodness. Canadian fish. Those are clean fish.
Yeah,
Eh?
trout.
Still. Eh, those are pretty fun. They're fun to catch. They are super fun to catch.
Yeah.
But you can only have like a half of one of that because of how rich they are.
Well, you're thinking of a rainbow trout, lake trout, and stuff like that up in Canada. I don't think we're quite that bad.
No, they weren't quite as rich and heavy as the ones down in South Missouri.
So, you start tomatoes this week?
No.
I do
Yes,
believe.
they
I
are
believe tomatoes are
planned to.
planned to go into the germ chamber in 5 days.
Yeah.
So probably Friday or Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, pressure any kind of those buffalo and things like that. You could also pressure cook those for the bones and stuff. The bones would soften up too, I think. probably just pull them, just like trout, how you steam them, and you just pull the backbones out of them.
I know, but if I get
So,
a bone, I'm done. Done. Just on fish,
so
like little needles in your mouth. But I have somebody. I, somebody was pressure canning. Actually, pressure canning fish.
jar like canning it.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
canning it. And I would think that would just like
Disintegrate.
yeah,
Yeah, I have no
because
idea.
it's not like it's a tough meat. I mean, you still process it the same way that you would beef and pork and chicken. I mean,
I have no idea about that.
I don't know.
So tomatoes,
Tomatoes.
peppers.
Do you have the tomatoes ordered?
I've got most of all the tomatoes, but we were going to order our market tomatoes. I'll call them from a local, but we've now since changed, and we're going to celebrity. So now I have
He
to.
had those.
Okay, but he's not ready. He's not getting those in yet. I don't think so. And I guess we can check on if he has them in stock. Because if he has them in stock, then that makes it easier. So
But no, I'm not planting everything.
yes, you will.
Sweet.
We don't have to plant those particular, but all the other tomatoes need to go in too. I'm lessening your load. Only have to do so many tomatoes.
Um.
And normally we would do. Last year we did. What do we figure? There's 100
Well, there's 100. There's 90 plants per bed,
per bed.
and there's 8 beds.
Not last year. Last year you did 10 beds in tomatoes. That was 900. You did 900 tomato plants last year, all at the same time. And so this year we are not doing 900 tomato plants all at the same time. We are actually changing over to doing some more determinants. So we are actually going to do a few heirlooms. I think 2 rows of heirlooms, including cherries, and then Amish paste and things for canning. But everything else is going to be a determinant, and we're gonna cycle those in all the way through November.
Yeah.
So or December. I think the last tomatoes are supposed to be in late November, December. So that's what
And we're not doing any tomatoes outside. They're all got.
Yeah, no tomatoes outside.
Yeah. That was
we
a.
will have peppers outside some.
That was a blah last year.
I'm gonna go answer that real quick. Knowing who that is, so yeah, for a second.
Man, he just like up and leaves. But yeah, so this year, so last year on the tomatoes, we did an indeterminate, and on the indeterminates, they just keep on growing and producing, and as long as you let them do their thing, and you have to lower and lean them so you can at least reach the top of the plant, and that is a lot of work. I mean, trying to keep up with pruning a tomato so that it's basically just a vine, and you have like a bunch up the top of a bunch of leaves up the top of the plant. You have to um, undo them from the string, clip them to to lower them, and then in the same action, you need to basically move them to the next hook so that you do kind of like a merry-go-round on them, and so that they end up like halfway on the ground but moving around the bed, and it actually makes it quite difficult, especially once they get really long, because um, it's just a lot to handle. It breaking anything, breaking the vines, or any of the larger tomatoes just falling off the vine. Um, it it makes it pretty difficult. So this year we are actually going to go to determinants for the majority of them. I think we've got 1 or 2 varieties that we are doing indeterminants on, but the majority of them are going to be determinants. So there's going to be less labor as far as keeping them pruned. You still have to do a little bit of raising at the beginning, but then the majority of it is, they flush out like, your typical garden tomato does. It flushes out and you have crop for like 4 or 6 weeks. Um, and then they're done. Like they do their one flush of fruit, and then all you have left are these onesies and twosies um, that come on every now and then. So that is kind of like our mind thinking this year is that we're going to do these determinants. We're going to let them flush out. We'll go ahead and pull them, and then we'll be able to put something else into it. But Chris, now I can trash talk him. I don't know. He's standing right here, although he is on the phone, so he really can't talk back. So unless he gets distracted, I don't know. He might come back and gang back up on me. But um, so Randy, where we get most of our seeds from is Johnny's. They are an expensive, more expensive seed. We have found the same type of varieties that we get from them from other places because you do kind of want to shop around, but some of the other companies that we have gotten seeds from before, they haven't been bad seeds, but sometimes they're mislabeled seeds or the germination is not as good. And we have felt that, yeah, we might be paying just a little bit more for our seed, but at least we know what we're getting. We're getting a good quality seed that the germination on it is going to be what it says, and the label is going to be what it says. And so we've been really happy with them. Bakers, we've ordered from Bakers before. We've ordered from Harris Seed before. Not very often. I think it was one year we couldn't find green beans um, that we wanted, and this was like 3 years ago. We did like Harris seeds, and we ended up throwing those out because they came in treated, and we didn't realize it. Um, let's see where else. Baker's definitely for our heirlooms, though, and I have heard of other ones. We just haven't ordered really from. Gosh, there was one more. I can't remember what it was, but Um, I'll have to look at the Southern Exposure seed and see what they have there. And not everything we buy in bulk. So, like the tomato seeds, we only, even though we do a lot of tomatoes, we might only do like 25 or 50 plants of one variety. So that's only for the majority of seed companies out there. Their packet usually holds like 25 seeds. And so we're not buying a big bulk of stuff. Like our lettuces, those we do buy in bulk. There's like we buy 5,000 at a time of one variety. Um, not because that's how much we go through in one time, but it is definitely cheaper to buy the bigger size because over that year we might end up, using 10,000 plants of that variety. Um, so it just all depends. But yeah, I'll have to look that up and see if they've got what we need um and, yeah, and see if they're any cheaper than Johnny's.
Well, what's crazy about Johnny's is the packet seed. They'll tell you what's in the packet seed. You can almost guarantee it. That's the exact number. The mechanisms that they have to weigh out seed
Oh yeah,
and the
yeah, yeah,
machine, but um, that really becomes the problem. Is like you were saying in bulk. Most companies don't do in bulk. Like Baker's.
yeah.
Baker's is great for the home gardener. It's great for that stuff, but their seed is not of quality
Yeah.
to do a commercial garden
Yes.
and consistency.
Well, and
So
even on Bakers, like you say with the packet, they Johnny's will have a packet and they'll say, "Hey, there's 25 seeds in this packet." Bakers says a packet, and you're like,
I think so, but I think they give you an estimate sometimes. But it's just a different style.
"It's a
It's
home.
a different market.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
say
yeah,
it
yeah,
that way.
yeah,
Um, what Baker's does is a very good job as far as collecting the seed and preserving the seed and
yes."
having the availability out there. And then you have people like Johnny's in the ball game of really hybridizing seed and finding that niche
Well, that's true.
market
Yeah,
for a heavier production, better tasting tomato that still tastes, but maybe it needs to travel 100 miles.
Yeah.
Or maybe it doesn't need to taste because that's the
It just
problem.
needs to look pretty.
It just needs to look pretty and people will buy it, and
Right.
that's not what we're about it at all, because it's taste has a big factor in what we do. So that's why we try to do still
Yeah.
heirlooms and things that we can still get at Baker's too.
Yeah.
But then you have Buffalo Seed Company, I think is the one out of Kansas, and I would like to start buying a few seeds from them and trying some of their seeds. But I'm always experimenting. I mean, I always, and the more and more we do, the more I like to experiment and try those things, because while we need the high production, I can take some of that production, and if it's a little lower, but it tastes great,
Yeah.
then that's fine by me. I
Yeah.
don't have to have just the numbers, because,
Still have to eat it.
well, yeah, but we also have the capability in the land that I can expand to another garden if I need the production.
Yeah.
So it's I'd rather find those good seeds to be able to do that. So, but
Yeah.
so that was one of my cousins. Should be, I guess.
Yes, she's a cousin.
Yeah, she's a cousin. Had a baby 2 weeks ago, and she was not feeling well, and there was some botched stuff, I guess, going on. But and they did a CT. She ended up going in and having a CT, and they found a clot, a pocket of fluid and a clot, and a bunch of stuff. So
Okay.
she's back home, and
Good.
but she got
That
the
was
third
scary.
degree because she's bottle feeding or she's breastfeeding only.
Yep.
And I guess she got a third degree again about not having a bottle in the house. She needs to be more prepared. So
I am prepared. It's on me all the time.
I carry the milk.
Carry it with
So.
me. Oh.
So, but yeah, Buffalo Seed has got we've been on the website, and they're really doing their stuff for their climate, and it'd be interesting to see. I'm not sure where the one he was talking about, the exchange was, but regional seed makes a big difference sometimes.
Yes.
So that does help. But I have a great respect for people that clean and save seeds and do that stuff, because it's just,
Oh, that'd be hard.
I mean,
I don't even want. I hope that never gets to that point.
we keep seeds, and I'll continue to buy seeds every year, but we just put them in a freezer and continue to keep them that way. And I know what I have, and
That's an art.
oh, it is.
I mean,
no
really.
doubt, no doubt. And I mean, I can do it if I need to, and I've got books to tell me how to do it. But
I don't want to do it.
The book will sit on the shelf unless I have to have it.
Because I don't want to do it.
So you should have enough chill hours there to be able to have apple trees too. Oh yes, yeah, we do have. Um, in fact, we've got enough chill hours that lots of times our apples and our peaches more than apples, but the blossoms will get caught by a frost and ruin it. But we are. I'm getting ready to order some scion wood and some rootstock to do some grafting, and I found a peach out of Canada that's so it blooms a lot later. At least it's supposed to. So I'll be interested to try that. I'd like to get about 100 starts this year. I don't know if I'm going to get time to get that done with everything else, but that is on my list to start up again. And then I'm going to build a gravel pit to put trees in and do a gravel pit tree. So that is an amazing way to grow trees than we used to do. But
yes, it is.
So, but
yes, it is.
The other thing, I guess you haven't talked about the website at all, have you?
No.
Because you've been working a lot on that. A lot.
That is true. A lot of my time has been going into that. So we're moving to a new platform. And so I've been building the website and the new store and getting all of that kind of configured, and all the technicalities and stuff that go behind it, and logistics, and It's just a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So I've also been though doing a lot of exporting on the platform that we currently are on, so that I can save all that data and at least be able to have something historic to go back to. Um, but it actually, what I'm doing right now, I've downloaded all that data, and in spreadsheets, I'm making all my edits and everything of what is going to be uploaded or inserted into all this stuff. So once I get that done, the other part of it'll go pretty darn quickly. Right now, it's a pretty detailed. I'm going through each product, kind of making sure the description is good and all the punctuations and all that kind of stuff is. Um,
So it looks good.
so it looks happy, yeah.
So why are we why are we switching websites?
Because we
Because it's
like
cheaper?
to.
No,
No,
it's not cheaper.
it's not cheaper.
We're not saving money, huh? Well, we
No,
might, I guess, but
well, this new platform's gonna allow us to ship, so we can get into the shipping aspect that we've wanted to do for a couple years.
yeah.
And it also um, allows us to do subscriptions. So, like on Amazon, when you hit the subscribe and save, and you can do, it'll have like auto shipments. So you get like 5% off, or however it is that we want to set it up. But you hit the subscribe button for Amazon, and it says, "Oh, you're gonna save 5% on all your orders, or all your orders for that product." That automatically ships to you, every couple weeks, or however it is that you want to set it up. It allows us to do that. Um,
It has a lot of nice features.
it
This
does.
was the platform we originally was wanting to go with, what, 3 years ago?
Yeah,
But it just did not have the features that we were looking for.
they were still
Um,
being built.
they were still being built, and the one we settled on didn't have all the features we wanted, but it kind of matched up a little bit better, we thought. And so here we are, full circle, and going back with the original one. So,
Yeah.
and Hippocrates was just talking about all the seed companies he was getting from, and we do. The one that he was talking about is True Leaf. That's where we get our microgreen seed out of.
Yeah.
They're a wonderful company.
Yeah.
We could probably order more seed from them actually, because they actually do. Um,
They do more than just micros,
yeah.
though.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I think they do a lot of herbs, and that'd be a good place to actually get a lot of herbs. Yeah, I never thought about that. So
Yeah, it
that's
would.
another thing that we've. Do you have herbs in the germ chamber right now?
No, I need to get lavender and rosemary going.
Yeah.
And
So
then I think also I probably could also go ahead and get basil going too.
and celery.
Definitely celery. That's a long
Celery is
haul.
like you talk about one of those that we don't keep that you keep in the germ chamber. Celery's like what was it, like 7 or 8, 10 days that you keep it in the germ chamber.
Yeah.
I mean, celery is so hard, but once it's up, it's up. It doesn't like the cold. That's the one thing that celery does not like. It does not like cold, freezing cold. But
Well,
other than that,
and
celery is
celery is one of those vegetables that is definitely better if you home grow it.
oh, it tastes amazing.
It
I hate celery out of the store
The
because
store
there's
is
nothing there.
disgusting. Yeah, it's
So
just water, but there is so much flavor in your garden celery. I was amazed. It was good. It was
yeah.
really good.
So Hypocrites is also saying um, for Asian greens, which is
Ah,
now um, Truly it was where it was getting to go, and then different for Turkish stuff and 2 seeds in a pod, which I've never heard of 2 seeds in a pod before, so
hmm.
I'll have to look them up. But Harris seed is another one we've
Yes,
ordered from before.
I mentioned that one.
We very much the deal is a lot of times is we need to be buying organic. We have been in the past. Well, this past year was the first year we actually went certified naturally grown.
Hmm.
And we're going to go ahead and continue that, I think, this year, which is paperwork we've got to get done. And we've got to go certify a farm, and we've got to have a certifier coming up to us and all this good stuff. And that's just logistics that have to be done. But we are going to go ahead and start transitioning to go ahead and get the garden certified organic. Um, if for nothing else, we've always done a direct consumer, but we are looking at expanding over into the Kansas City area, possibly into Iowa, as far as markets go.
Hmm.
And that having that label will help kind of just speak for itself. to where maybe we don't have to do as much marketing on that. We can have that certified. And frankly, when you get into these urban markets, the certified organics is what they look for. That means something
Yeah,
to them.
we're in
So,
such a small area right now that people just
well,
don't
sometimes in
really
our
care.
area, people look at certified organic and say, "Well, why would I buy that expensive stuff
Yeah,
when
exactly.
it's no different in price? We're
Yeah,
actually cheaper on some stuff."
yeah,
Um, but we've the the hang up I've had, everything on the farm is done organically, except for the grain that we bring on the farm
yeah.
for pigs and chickens. We do not feed organic feed simply for the fact of cost
Yep.
and the cost prohibitive of the organic feed. We feed a non-GMO, but I would very much like to do an organic just for the labeling fact of being able to do organic. But I have to have it pencil out, and today I can't have that pencil out. So,
Well, you can get away from the corn, soy.
well,
It would be wonderful to
corn
have.
soy more than organic would be my
Yeah.
choice. We've looked into several things, even like hemp seed and transitioning into a hemp seed, but
Mhm.
you can't feed hemp seed to animals by law yet.
Yes, but it's high in protein.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
it's
it's really high in
wonderful.
protein. So there's all kinds of different stuff. That's why the milk cows we bought for that purpose of transitioning off of grain, more grain for the chickens because there's lots of protein in the milk, the raw milk. But
Well, and feeding out any pigs that
sure, but
supplementing
you still
pigs.
have to do the carbs.
Yes.
And so the vegetables, and in season we can do a lot of the carb by vegetables and stuff like that. But other than that, we have to find a carb to be able to feed them, and then it's balanced nutrition and balanced rationing and all this other stuff. And egg layers are one of those things that if they don't have what they need, then their eggs don't turn out the way they should, and all this other stuff. So,
But I mean, we've added the raw milk to the chickens, and
oh, our chickens are cranking,
yeah, they look really good.
and
They
we've
have
never
done
had chickens in February crank like what chickens are doing.
no, no. They are
So
very happy.
I'm very, very pleased with the raw milk, and they've been eating less, I think.
Yes.
Um, so let's see, I haven't been paying attention here. Hippocrates like homegrown asparagus versus whatever. Yeah, no
Mhm.
kidding. We put in,
Super excited for the asparagus this
yeah,
year.
last year or was the year before? It was the year before. We put in one, two, three, four, almost 500 bed feet of asparagus.
Yeah, they'll be 2 years old this
They'll
year,
be 2 years old,
so we can
so
harvest
we can
some.
harvest some. Um, and she's ready for that. So
We eat the heck out of
yeah,
asparagus. I eat it raw out of the garden. Ella does too. Of course, you know, wrapped in bacon is always good, but it, yeah.
and hypocrites that he's talking about if he ever gets to the for profit, the seedlings, nursery produce, and that's what we're working in towards. Really, is this year for the last 2 years, I've really wanted to be able to have plant sales, um, and I'm just not there yet. And this year it's because of the greenhouse, and it's strictly because of the greenhouse not being up yet.
We might be there next year though.
Next year, I will have tree sales next year for sure.
Yeah.
That is on my. I was a arborist, certified arborist for I don't know several years, and that's trees are a passion of mine.
Hmm.
So I like the oddballs, the hybrids, the fruit trees, and I mean just I like trees. I
The
like plants.
Orientals, the
So
yeah.
I had some of the brand new ones that nobody could get their hands a hold of, and I had some nurseries that we bought enough stock off of that they'd say, "Hey, we just got this thing in. You want to try it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to put that in my front yard. Let's try that." So a lot of different red buds and different variegations and all kinds of stuff. So that was really fun.
It
But
was fun.
yeah, the paperwork, the cost to get organic is not a problem. Um, it's really record keeping, and for us, for profit, as much as I'm one of those. I like to be organized. I'm not very organized, but when I do keep records and organized, I'm really happy towards the end of the year because I can see what beds are doing what, why they're doing what.
Mhm.
I have that history, because there again, some of these beds are seeing 6, 7, 8 crops in a year. So I have no idea after the second crop what's been in there. I can look back and see that stuff. So the cost isn't great unless you're getting into the food or the meat aspect, and then you're paying for that cost. Um, Other than that, I don't really see a I don't have a trip except for that I'm paying the government money to say I'm certified, and that's my big hang up on vegetable certification, vegetable organic, and I'm not big on it.
Well,
That's the one thing. It's just like I think it's crazy. Now, I will say this: if we go organic, I will not stop at organic because my problem with organics is we've we've greenwashed the word organic. We've gotten to the point now where organic is now aquaponics, hydroponics, soilless mixes, vertical growing in the factory, whatever you want to do, it can be organic. Um, and I still hold true that I'm not a purist in the sense, but I still say organic is soil. And if it's not in the soil, it's probably not organic because you don't organic material is soil.
mhm.
So we will go ahead and we will go real organic. And there's a certification above organic. It's called real organic. And we will go ahead and pursue into that as well. And we won't stop at just organic if we get to that point, which that's kind of where I'm heading at. I've kind of made up my mind now. I'm not in a tunnel vision for it, so we'll see how long it takes me. But
Well, a lot of the stuff though, we that's just what we do. I mean, it's just how we grow anyways. And like you said, it really is the bookkeeping side of things of
yeah,
keeping track of what you put in the gardens. And I mean, we know what we put in the
yeah,
gardens, but actually writing down and
yeah,
being able to prove it. But yeah, I mean, as far as like hypocrites that people are still in Walmart mentality of wanting cheap food, I
and
I
well,
hope that's coming.
no, here's the
I
thing, and
hope that's
here's my
real.
whole thing with that, and I 100% that's the model we've been based off for the last 4 years is customer certified. You
Yeah.
should know who your farmer is, where your food is, how it's grown. We encourage people to come out. We've always had the model. I've always told people, all of our customers, our farm is open 24/7. Come out, see how we grow our food, see how your food that you're eating is grown. And it sounds great. And it's a model that I truly do believe in. But people don't get out of their ways. And it's a habit. And so that's why we're seeing now individuals like Joe Salatin go into the shipping. He's never shipped before until the last year, maybe two, 2020 is when he started. Now he's shipping. Um, because we have to meet them where they're at. And I'm not saying price wise, but I am saying the convenience. McDonald's is McDonald's not because it's good food, because it's convenient. You
Yeah.
can stop, you can get it, and you can go. And so that's why we look at value adding stuff, and we can take our lettuces that are nutrient dense, healthy, good tasting, put them in a box and say, here's your salad. And they will literally be able to pick up three, four, five and grab their salads for the week or
Mhm.
their vegetable trays for the week. And they're at least getting it's a convenience. Now, you charge higher for it, but people don't care. People, when it comes down to it, if it's convenient and it's something they want already,
Yeah.
they don't care. That's why McDonald's has gone. I mean, I haven't eaten a McDonald's hamburger, but I know that I've been by their menu for different stuff, and
Oh,
you don't
it's
eat at
super
McDonald's
good.
for less than $10 for a meal.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Well, you can go to a sit down restaurant and do that. So
Yes,
it's
you can.
that's where my hang up is. So it's for us, to me, it's we've got to be able to meet them where they're at as well and get to that point. So I don't know.
And
Um,
provide to the people that want that kind of food
yeah,
too.
yeah. Well, I think everybody in the back of their mind, everybody wants it. It's people make excuses. It's too expensive. Well, it's not.
No. Right.
You know,
That's what they've
it's
been fed. That's what they've been taught
yeah.
over a long period of
But when it
time.
comes down to it, it's Walmart is the way Walmart is not just because they're cheap. It's because you can go into Walmart and get everything you need. You don't need to go to this store, this store, and this store. So it's the convenience aspect again.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's to me, that's where we have to focus some of our energy at, and that's why we do. I was having a conversation with a gentleman last night that he literally built a business. He raised pigs. Well, he value added those pigs, quit quit raising pigs because or selling pigs because he went and took the whole pig and produced snack sticks with them. And within like a year, he was doing $1 million worth of business. And so he was doing pastured pork and turned it all into snack sticks because and he wouldn't sell any way else, but like he used to. Well, then he sold the company,
Yeah.
and now he's into a new venture, and he's up in around the Chicago area, and his whole thing is if we can get, he is doing 100-mile radius door drop delivery within 100 miles of the Chicago area. And he's doing all this stuff, and he's done all the figures that says if we can have the average customer spend $175, I think it's once a month, it'll be $100 million business.
Wow.
And he says within the next 10 years, he can do it very easily. Well, there again, we know the door drop business is
Yeah.
is there.
Yeah.
It's the logistics of how it's done because logistically it's a nightmare.
Yes, it is.
And it's how do you do that on a 100-degree day? Well, you have to
Yeah.
have coolers, you have to have this stuff, you have to have drops, and that's where it's with us. It's well, do we do a storefront where people can just come and get it? We've even thought about doing a kiosk system to where you could have a 24-hour store with a keypad, and if you belong to our member,
Yeah.
you'd have a individual code. We could see what code it was. We'd have a camera system built up in there. You could go grocery shopping in the middle of downtown
Mm-hmm.
and at midnight and be there and do all that, and you wouldn't even have to pay because we'd see who's done it,
Right.
and it would just we'd have your your information on thing, and it
Right.
would be done.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all kinds of different stuff. So,
There is.
but straight from the garden is worth just worth is all. Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah. Yes, it is.
there's studies out there that say that if you will eat a tomato, not pick the tomato, take a ripe tomato and actually eat it while it's still on the plant, you'll actually gain a lot more nutrients and all kinds of. I mean, it's
Because
crazy
because
because
of
of
the
the stress.
right.
Yes.
So the minute that you pick it off, it's going shock. It's gonna send out like toxins of it changes the chemistry of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
JB, good evening.
Good evening.
Says almost means nothing as a definition. I agree with you 100%. In my area, what if a crop duster accidentally sprays my farm? Do I have to sit out at X number of years to be organic again? Um, First, and again, there's a mapping system, a national mapping system that they have to abide by on the organics, and you can actually put your farm on there now. I can't remember what that's called. I will find that out and I will tell you next time. But you put your name on there, you register that you are a no spray area, and every crop consultant, every anybody that does any kind of chemical ag, I'm trying to think of co-op around here is who does a lot of that stuff. They have to look at those maps, and they cannot spray. We will put signs up. We've not ever put signs up. That's a little expensive, but that's something we've talked about doing. Um, as far as do you have to sit out a number of years? I don't think you do. Now, should you? Should you have to? That's the question I would have is morally, if I'm selling a product says it's organic, it's never had chemical um, pesticides or anything on it, and that's what it gets on there. It, morally, am I feeling that it's right for me to sell it at that point? Right now, it's a 3-year transition. So if it was at worst, it would be a 3-year transition to do that. So I'm not sure on that question. So
Well, what about drift?
well, drift is another one. I mean, now we've got
Dicamba.
dicamba, which several years ago now, that's in and out, whether it's legal or not, and all this other stuff, because it would drift miles. I mean, 10, 15, 20 miles, and
And
it would just
annihilate the
kill
crops.
everything. So I'm running behind here on some things. Says
Yeah, yeah.
this area is a college town, so there are foodies, but there are often far left. So they want the good food, but freak if they see dirt or poop. God forbid a weapon. Yeah, that's the world we live in, and I'm sure there's. I'm very much what I would consider myself um, libertarian, and I'm a little
Little
L
L.
libertarian. We will say, um, but most people would probably look at me and think that I probably lean pretty hard left on some of the stuff that I do practice wise and stuff. And I grew up a staunch Republican in my family. So, um, but yeah, it's
Some of that also is back to the conditioning of people.
yeah.
They they see everything so perfect all the time in the store, that they don't realize that milk comes from a cow or that the vegetable actually was grown in dirt. And these things actually happen, or that, insects are a thing in the world besides the mosquito that bites them while they're sitting there hanging out with their friends. People
There's
don't, they're conditioned if they're not in, the well, I don't even know that. I mean, we're in a rural community, but you go into town and there are some, we call them townies, because they don't live out in the country, that even though they are in a rural community, don't understand the things that I mean, dirt on
well,
bug damage, or,
yeah,
everything's just always so perfect. And that's just not, it's realistic. Yes, it can happen and it does happen, but
and
there's a lot
that's
of effort to get to
yeah,
that point.
yeah. I mean, when you're starting to deal with more urban area, it definitely is. We will be we probably the last 3 years we've not. I mean, literally not sprayed anything.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was an infestation of something, we may put some Pyganics on it, which is certified organic. But that is the only thing we've ever sprayed. Now, this year is going to be a little different. We're still using all organic products, but we're going to kind of be keeping a
We're
neem
going to be
oil. We're
proactive
going to be
instead of
proactive and
reactive.
preventative on
Yes.
some of these things. But we just don't have a lot of bug issues.
No.
Flea beetles are a problem that we have.
And aphids.
Aphids sometimes, yeah. So we'll deal with those and be proactive with some neem oil and stuff. But if we, yeah, so we're going to do some of that. I am going to um, dabble in fertigation this year with some organic fertigation stuff. But um, says what is more expensive, your meat, which is a 12-ounce steak or more than enough, or the Walmart 20-ounce with vitamins, supplements, maintenance, meds, and for disease and everything. That's exactly right. I mean, that's the whole thing. Is not only that, hypocrites. It's the fact that when you eat a nutrient dense food, your body fills faster and stays satisfied longer because it doesn't need all the other stuff. So you literally are eating less food as you go. And so
Yeah.
that's always been the thing. I figured you'd enjoy Randy's comment right there about going around and eating the tomato right on the plant. I can just see the tomato just screaming at this point now. She's coming. So, but Stefan at the Permaculture Orchard is a U pick, but members only. So he gets money up front for memberships. Then there's a catch of being members exactly. And
Yeah.
I really like the U pick. Um, the model, there's a model of CSAs, and we've done CSAs in the past. We really, really enjoy CSAs.
We do.
Um, but in our area, it is a sell. It's a hard sell because it's a educational process. Um, but I know a farm just to our south that is fairly. They have again a college town, and they're more foodie, but they require their CSA members to work on the farm for a certain amount of time in order to buy from them. So not only can you not buy from them if you don't pay, but you have to also provide volunteer work. for them,
Mhm.
and it's not much, but every little bit helps on a place on a farm like that. So it says in Florida, you register your bees with the state. Crop dusters in the area are required to notify you ahead of time if they are going to spray nearby.
Mm. Mhm.
So of a night, you can shut your bees up and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah. That's a good
yeah,
idea because
and
bees are really starting to go downhill. I
yeah,
mean, as far as population goes.
and I think that's the thing is you can register your bees with the state if you want to, and that's the way to do it. Until the government says you have to register your bees, and then I have a problem with that. That's like if I have to register my crops, then what you do with the FSA. So big farmers, that's what we have to do. And farmer with that
Yeah.
when certain acreages. So even our pasture, it's registered with the FSA that they know certain ground is pasture, and that's what that paperwork that hypocrites was even talking about. That's what they're doing. They're collecting information on who's doing what the operation's doing, and doing all this other stuff.
Hey, on that survey, this thought that just came to my mind. Did it have anything to do with like ditches or how many ponds you had on your property or springs or creeks or anything like that? Because I had seen where
Hey, tag came in. So,
good evenings, Anne.
or it could be
Hello,
B.
Bessie.
Bessie, hello.
And anyways, I had seen where Biden was what?
Oh, tag or B said you're such a rebel.
Oh,
Yeah.
anyways, um, where Biden is reenacting Obama's water
Clean Water Act.
basically, and they're going to start pulling water rights to the federal, kind of like Utah does, where you have to own the rights. The Fed is now trying to have rights on your own property because Missouri, we don't have that. If you own the property, you own the rights to your water, whether that be any ditches or anything like that. That
Kind of,
you
yes, but
cannot.
yeah, I can pump water wherever I want to pump water, but
Right, but I mean, like, the pond that we're wanting to put up at the top of the
mhm.
hill, like, that would be something that we couldn't do because
Yeah, we're capturing water and
we're
we're
capturing water on
we're
our own
obstructing
property.
the flow of water.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So, that I wonder if, since FSA is a federal government is a federal
Oh
survey,
yeah, it's a federal,
I wonder if it's on there
and it's by law. Is
that they
that
are surveying what's
you
on your land.
you are yeah essentially it's by law voluntarily, but you have to at least respond. Doesn't say you have to tell the truth on it.
Or the whole truth.
Yeah, so it's like Randy said, you don't have to register all of your bees. So,
I have one bee,
yeah,
and that poor
don't
thing.
spray because I have one bee and
Yeah,
one bee left. So
and that poor thing just flew away.
you better go catch your bee.
I wasn't doing that. I was just trying to get. Oh, okay. What field he has? How many acres for
Okay.
him?
Yep.
Yep. So
So, well, I know around here
I'll ask.
that's some of the surveys have been going around. It's the letters
What's
say
that?
you must return by so and so by it's the law, blah blah blah. But that's what it is. It's just figuring out who's operating on your property, and this is what's crazy is who's the operator. What are the what not necessarily what crop, but is it a crop? Is it pasture? What's the use of it? But they want to know who is the operator, who's the owner, and all that other stuff. So
Yeah, and what they're. Does it ask you what they're doing? What you do with it? I thought it
I think they asked the
did.
previous year's crop, so they want to know what the previous year's crop was. And again, it's
I didn't.
all for the name of studies and national statistics, and they can do all this other stuff. But I mean, it's I don't know. I mean,
Even pastures, though, I think they want to know. They don't really ask you how many head of cattle or anything that you're running on it, but they do want to know.
no, that's another survey, sure, I bet. So
Yeah,
now
probably
I'll be interested talking about water. I'll be interested because Lake Mead, which obviously comes off of the Hoover
Hoover
Dam
Dam.
and drops in the Colorado River, is lower than it's ever been. I think is essentially what it is. But all this rain they've been getting, and then the rainstorms that they're going to continue to get, the flow of river or however this weather systems are calling it, but it's one after another. They were talking about some of these places up in California were going to have like 14 foot of snow on some of the mountains
Yeah.
and all these flash floods and the stuff they're getting over there. But how much of a dent that'll actually put in that system, which is good. Obviously, there's going to be catastrophic
Yeah,
things,
yeah.
but it's been my opinion that if that California area, which is where I think something like 80% of your vegetables that you get
Oh, yeah.
come from
Yes.
nationwide,
Yeah.
particularly the East, um, if they weren't able to get rain or get those reservoirs back up, they said something like Las Vegas was only had like they figured in the year I think it was 2030, 2031 or something like that. Las Vegas would literally have to start shutting down because there would be no water.
Yeah.
Because Lake Mead wasn't flowing enough water,
Would dry up.
and they were actually having plans on piping. They're building a pipe that went further into under Lake Mead, which is against their leasing rights and all this other stuff. But literally, they were going to have to start to come out east, being i.e. Missouri, because I know Kansas has some, but Kansas is such a drought that then you start popping into Missouri's the next one, Iowa. Iowa's water so dang dirty
Oh, yeah.
that you couldn't do much with it, but um, you start going into these areas and having to take their water aquifers out because they need the water over out west and doing that stuff, and it just wouldn't surprise me. So, but says I he did say signing up the homestead with FSA, the form essentially gave them permission to approve or deny any earthworks. I said nope and handed it back. That's exactly right. So I'll look into removing the land I'll inherit from FSA if I can. Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
definitely something we have used the um, local soil and water conservation district for some stuff
Mhm.
in the past. Um, and we haven't had much issue with them. But every time you get a license or something like that, like the certified kitchen that we have, that's really just a sign on the line, give us permission to come in and check what you're doing at any time that you want. So that's what that is. But um, kind of one of the things that we do for business for now, and until something's different, I guess we can always just say, well, we don't want the license no more. But
That's
what
true.
it is. So not going to give permission now. So yeah, sometimes we just have to give and take where we can, I guess. And I mean, that's the thing is some of this stuff with Amos. It was Amos Miller, wasn't it?
Amos Miller. Yep.
The Amish up there in Pennsylvania, I believe,
Mhm.
and he's won at least some of his case, and not had to pay some of the penalties. But I mean, they just are waging war on.
On food.
How many people did he have?
4,000.
Some of the 4,000 people that would
He
actually,
has 4,000 CSA customers.
yeah, members essentially.
Yeah.
That's and that the food was unsafe. It's like, well, if 4,000 people are keep coming back and buying from him, I don't know how unsafe it was or how much
Right.
dangerous it was. So it was just one of those.
And he has a full operational farm, anywhere from milk, vegetables, meat. I
Yeah, I mean, he
mean,
was doing
bakery.
everything.
He does
So
everything over there.
yep, yep.
Yeah.
Um, tagging me in peaceful civil disobedience. So that's right.
That's
That's
right.
right. So
That's right. I don't have to participate, but
yeah. To use in Arkansas to use the conservation network, it has to have to have a farm number, which you get by signing up with it, and that's exactly how it is in Missouri.
mm,
To use the networks and get the all that stuff, and like our high tunnels, we've used NRCS for the high tunnels, um, and for me, it was they had a year contract on them that they could come out and inspect them for that year and make sure that we actually did what we said we were going to do. And I'm more than happy for them to come out for 1 year and look at it and say, "Oh, you did good," and then leave and never come back and give me some money to do it. So that's what we did. And if we get the opportunity, we'll probably do it again. And until we get to the point where we are done with the high tunnels or cat tunnels, We're obviously going to invest our own money into putting up more, but if the opportunity arises that we can get some more of our tax dollars back and use them, that's what we're going to do.
Well, that's true. That is very true. There's so much of it that just gets thrown out the door that I could have that back.
B wants to know what you've started so far this year.
Oh, actually not a whole lot.
This
Besides,
week starts a whole lot, but
yeah, this week starts a whole lot, but lettuce, spinach. Andrew did
turnips today.
turnips today,
Did
and
turnips, radish, and carrots today. So
yes, and
Salanova spinach, um,
that's green onions. I did do some green
green
onions,
onions, and tonight
and then
we're
micros
microgreens. Tonight we're gonna get lavender done, um,
and rosemary
rosemary,
and
celery,
basil and celery.
basil. By the end of the week, tomatoes start going in, peppers start going in, eggplant. Somebody did say turnips.
Hey, and happy birthday! I seen where it was your birthday. Happy
Oh
birthday!
yes, happy birthday. So, um, eggplant will be not far behind it, and
And
then
if anybody has a good eggplant recipe, because that is not my
we're going to
favorite.
try. We're not going to try the old Italian, the very big eggplant. We used to do a Parmesan eggplant. You did it with spaghetti and some Parmesan cheese, and did like the
Yeah, you
marinara,
fried it.
and then you fried it, and
Yeah.
that was pretty good. Um, but we're going to try this called a fairy tale eggplant. They're smaller, supposedly have pretty good flavor to them. So
I wonder if the skin is as thick because
I don't think so.
those black beauties.
Yeah, it's a
That's the
really
traditional. It's a really thick, rubbery
yeah.
skin on it, and yeah, that's okay.
So Hypocrite says he was familiar with the tunnel program and even possibility of them helping with the irrigation system, which is required for the tunnel program.
Mm.
Interesting, but not to give them that much power. Yeah, and they literally how our process went both times we've done it is we fronted the money and we bought the tunnel, put it up. I actually hired the bigger tunnels. I hire a crew to come in and they can do it in 2 days.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And then I do all the finish work on it. But I have them put the structure up and the plastic on, and then I'll do a lot of some of the other stuff. But um, they literally came in after I called them and said, "Hey, the tunnel's done." By the time they got out here, I already had crops and everything. They look at it, say, "Yep, it's done." They send you the check through the direct deposit stuff. They come out a year later, sometime. Just they call you and say, "Hey, we're supposed to come out and certify that everything's done," because the big stipulation is they want you to use it for what its purpose, and its purpose is to grow in ground. They don't want you to put animals in it for the first year, and then after that, they're hands off. So at least that is here. Now they don't require anything,
No irrigation,
nothing,
no electric, nothing. Just
just
as long as
just the
it's up.
structure and the
Hmm.
square footage that it was said,
Yes.
and that's all they cared.
And you can add like we added poly walls on both ends, and then a poly barrier on the bottom 2 foot.
Yeah.
So we did a little bit extras on ours, and they were as long as you meet their standard, their minimum.
Yeah. Hypocrite says use them for egg, to stretch soups or stews or bake. Just don't steam
Um,
it. It's like rubber. Yeah, it is. So
I can see a food war coming.
yeah, that's one thing that I definitely did with the high tunnels is we get cold enough that even in our cat tunnels, the outside rows of our cat tunnels will get colder than everything else, obviously, because they're near the outside. So what we did with the high tunnels is the polycarbonate, which is just plastic with a air gap in between them. I dug a trench around each high tunnel and literally buried that about 18 inches essentially down,
Yeah.
and then it comes up a foot or maybe a little bit more depending on that, and that gives the ground and actually insulation value. It takes frost a lot longer to get down into the tunnel and affect that tunnel ground.
Mhm.
So one of the things that I've been looking at doing in the tunnels is to do a I want to call it a hydroponic system, but that's not what I'm looking for. Is a a water heating system where I take lay flat blue hose and run like 180-degree water down the beds, and then just run a hot water heater. Now, eventually, what I'm going to do is put a wood boiler out there by the high tunnels, and I'm going to run the water line like that. But I'm also going to put a coil in with a heating hose down each aisle to where I can actually heat right that the air will be distributed off of a sock essentially that runs down the aisles and heats the ground where I can do that with a wood boiler. So that's my plan. And oh, if I could get it done next year, I would, but we'll see. But that's how I'm also going to heat the greenhouse is with the wood boiler system like that as well. So, and then I want to have heated tables because I can maintain the greenhouse at really about 50 degrees, even through the wintertime, which wouldn't take much in those things. But if I have nice hot water on the tables, then it it doesn't matter. I mean, you can run probably closer to 45 degrees in there because the soil will stay warmer. The actual leaves don't really care as long as it just doesn't get too cold.
Right.
So,
Right.
but
Yeah. Big goals.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's big picture stuff. Hypocrite says that they did require irrigation there, and I can see why they would
Down south, I
down
guess.
south, but I can also see why they wouldn't allow you to do it because of water usage. But I wonder, is it they require irrigation? Is it overhead or is it did they require it? Did they matter how they did it? Because
Why
yeah,
would they care if you bake your crops? That's your problem. Not theirs.
without it, at least here crops would just bake. I'm not against it.
Yeah, yeah, they'd just be too. I mean, that's just
Well, and I think that's most crops would bake, and I mean I've grown. We get as hot and as humid, maybe not for as long as it stretches as Arkansas
right,
does.
right.
But I mean we get nasty hot, and I know Ray down there. He's down in Tennessee,
Mhm.
mid to South Tennessee, and yes, I mean if you don't have water, then any crop's going to dry out and keel over. But ventilation more to me is more important than a lot of things. I mean, obviously you have to have water on plants, but so but Randy says the rosacea eggplant has a thin skin and no bitterness. Just so you know. Okay, well I'll have to look up that variety. Um, I don't know that I've seen that one or anything, but that's definitely one that I'm getting ready to order some more seed. We've gotten about 98% of all of our seed for the whole year. The things that we go through a ton of, we will have to order some more. I think I've got a pound of turnip seed and a pound of radish seed, which is just an astronomical amount of seed. But we will go through. I've got 50 foot um, of turnip seed that is at this point. I'll do for the next 4 weeks. I will put turnips in weekly, and then we'll have about a 3 week break on weekly, and then after starting about March 15th, we will do weekly seeding of most of our crops. Most of
Yeah,
all of
it'll
our
be go time.
lettuces, um, all of our radish, turnip, well, all of our radish. We're only doing one turnip this year. We're only doing one radish this year.
Yeah.
But we're doing weekly successions of all that, and that will go. Oh man, that'll go all the way up through. A lot of those will go all the way up through October for succession planting. So it'll be literally just a 50-foot bed of turnips every week. Um, what? That's a lot of turnips.
That's a lot of turnips.
But
Oh.
it's a numbers game on some of that stuff. But the turnips are, like I said, we're going to do some different stuff this year on as far as our fertilization. I've got soil samples in. In
Mhm.
fact, I got a call today about my daughter had packaged all the soil samples, and how I do my soil samples, just so you guys know. Nice little trick that we do is when I soil sample, I take enough soil and I bag a double sample. So I will take, they want 2 cups, generally speaking, when you turn in soil samples. So I will take 2 cups and put it in a bag, and I'll take another 2 cups and put it in a different bag, label them both, and I'll send one in. And that way, if there's something that goes on or one breaks or anything, I still have the exact same sample. I don't have to go back out and get it. So I can just send that next one to them again. And so that's what we did. Well, Ella grabbed 2 of the same bag, 2 of the same soil sample, and send it in. So I've got to send in another soil sample, and it happened to be high tunnel number 1, which is the one we're planting in now, which is the one I want to go ahead and get fertilized and do any balancing I need to do right now. So obviously that's going in and that's not going to get done. So I'll have to go back and do some top dressing and stuff like that. So
Well, it won't take long. I mean, now that they have our
no, it
stuff
won't
in
take long.
process,
And I
should-
need to soil. I have several other soil samples I need to send in and some water samples. So I'm getting ready to build
yeah,
our
your water meter issue.
the water meter issue is always funny. Is I had called. We do not have enough volume now out here for our garden area. We've gone off of our county water. Not that it's been the not that's how I want to do it, but there is a FISFA, which is the Food Safety Act. Blah 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 blah. Not a bad thing, but again, a lot of government overreach in the whole factor. Um, and I can tell you some stories on what we do and what they say you shouldn't do. And again, it's one of those things that lots of people do it, and it's clean, and it's the easiest way, and it's the cleanest way. But yet, it's well, that just sounds dirty, so therefore it shouldn't happen, kind of things. But in order to do a well, which we don't have a well, we have several wells, but I do not have a deep well, a modern well.
No.
My great great grandfather was a well builder, actually, a well digger around this area, and we've got I don't know, I know of 5 or 6 or 10 that hand dug wells that are stone stacked, and that's how we have a lot of our wells around here. So not reliable in that sense. Um, so we haven't dug a well, but even to do well, I have to have I think it's quarterly testing on the well to do overhead irrigation. And a lot of stuff we do is overhead irrigation. We do a lot of drip tape, but we still with greens and stuff like that. I still have to have overhead irrigation with all that stuff. So you have to have so much testing. Well, we've got ponds, and I've got a lot of ponds, and I like building ponds. I like building small, very very deep ponds. Is what I like to build. Um, but in order to overhead water with ponds, you have to have it's a kind of
Like
an
a monthly.
it's kind of an insane amount of testing. And not saying that's a bad thing. It's just prohibitive. But I want to get away from using the county water system for more than one reason. So I'm putting in a solar system for just the water system. Because it really is only going to have to run during the day. I don't have to. I can put a battery system on if I need it for drip irrigation because we don't overhead water at night. Um, but with this system that I'm putting in, I should have more than enough water to do everything I need to, multiple gardens every day. So that really is no need for at night. So that's what I'm getting ready to work on and build that system. But the problem is I went ahead and called the county water department, say, okay, I have a future building site anyway, so I'll put a new meter in. I want to know the cost of the new meter is. Well, it's $2,500 if you're on the same side of the road as the main, and if you're not, then it's $3,500 or something like that. I said, well, that's fine, whatever. I said, but here's my issue: is I don't have enough flow. Well, you can always put a bigger hose off the meter. I said, well, that's true, and I said I would put a 2-inch line all the way back through my property. I said that's not a big deal. I said, but that doesn't do me any good unless the main is a 2-inch main. Oh, well, we can't do that. It has to be a 3/4 inch main. I said, well, what good is that going to do me? I said, I will gain a little bit, but that's not going to do me any good. Well, we can't do anything over a 2-inch or over a 3/4 inch main. I said, well, I guess I'll build another pond because I can build another pond for cheaper than I can do a meter, and I can do a solar
and
system
paying for your water.
and paying for your water, and I don't want all the junk that you put in it. So that's how we're going to deal with that, and we're just going to get off of that, and then we're just going to get off of our main meter on the house by putting in our water system. And the way this farm used to operate was we used to pump off the ponds. We have a gravity system off one of the ponds, and it used to come into a sand filter. I think it actually came through a sand filter, then a charcoal filter, or maybe vice versa. I'm not sure. And this was way back in the day,
Yeah.
and that's how we got the water out off of this farm for drinking and everything else. And I'm not opposed to going back to that system for us, because, like I said, I've got one plan up. I want to say it's 100 and close to 100, maybe a little over 100 foot drop from where we're sitting now, where one of the ponds are at. And so I'm planning on putting it's going to be a deep pond. I mean, that thing's going to be deep because it starts in a spring. There's a spring, but it drops it's on a hillside.
Yeah.
And so this thing may be 60 foot deep by the time it's said and done. I mean, it's just how the natural flow of that hillside is.
Right.
But I'm putting a 4-inch main coming out of that thing.
Oh, it'll be able to water the whole farm.
Yeah.
I mean,
By
yeah.
gravity pressure. So,
Right.
and I've really thought about putting in a propeller system for energy.
Hydro.
Hydro system for energy off that as well. But I don't know. That's when I started having real fun on that. But so I don't know. Did I tell the whole story? I don't know. Oh,
You did. You got it.
so
But the one thing that thinking about where you're wanting to put that, we might look into getting that dredged out before you
which one?
the frog pond. We call it the frog pond.
Oh no, the frog pond.
Isn't that where you're planning on putting?
No,
ponds?
I'm gonna put it both. I'm gonna have access to both ponds. That's why I want to test both of them. I have 2 ponds that are on each side of my garden. One's on the higher side, one's on the lower side, which doesn't really matter. But the one you're talking about was drained. It's probably been 7 years ago now, just for the
drought.
It wasn't the drought. A cattle waterer
broke, yes,
and it had a water tank on the bottom side of the thing, and nobody knew it, and it drained the pond completely out.
We still might look and get it dug out though.
I don't know. Well, if I dig that thing out,
deep.
Oh yeah, it's deep. That thing's 15 foot deep.
Oh,
so it's like I told David. I said I wouldn't dredge it out until I drain it. I'll pump enough water off the thing to drain it if I have to.
Well,
and that's how we do it. So because if we're going to do that, then I'm going to expand the pond. If I do that, that particular pond is off of where I would put a food forest, swale and everything.
Yeah.
And then that swale would go over into that pond, and that pond I want to be able to feed that I can have about 6 different waterers off of that pond too, because of the elevation on that pond. So. Hypocrites asked, "What's the water pressure at the main? If it's less than 50 psi, at least it down."
Oh no, we'd
have to go boiler to do. Last time I checked, our water pressure was at 125 psi at the main. Well, at the hydrants here, which is really goofy because again, even with the water pressure, I can't get enough volume because of the hose size.
Yeah.
So. We've had a neighbor down the road. They've broken, I don't know how many pipes in the ground, actually in the ground, that they've registered some of their hydrants at 140 psi.
We go through hoses like crazy. Like watering things, you cannot
a garden hose in the summertime does not. We have to buy a true rubber garden hose. It has to be a true rubber garden hose, and it cannot be left on. There cannot be any pressure on that thing. Unless it has a pressure reducer.
Yeah.
And then we'll survive out of it. But I have to put pressure reducers on everything.
Yeah. So. And if we didn't have to reduce the pressure, we probably wouldn't have such the issue of watering the gardens because we're limiting it to the 50 or 75.
80 psi is the blue line, and we're running there again. We're running 5 gardens deep, so we're running 600 foot deep on that blue line just to use as a header. And that's what we use a lot of the 50 psi for the RVs, the brass ones.
Those work the best.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Those are definitely the most trustworthy.
Yeah.
But I have no problem watering the garden with the line. I can't water 2.
Right.
And that's the problem is we're to the point where,
And we can't automate it.
and I can't automate it because the line I have to go to the red line, and the red line may work, but I hate to spend the red line is it's triple the price, and so it's like $180 for no, it's more than that. It may be like $180 for 300 foot. I mean it's pretty high. And I'm just pulling those numbers out. It's a lot higher than what the blue line is. So we've done the blue line, and the blue line's an 80 psi, and I will bust that thing like nobody's business. And so I've put I've necked it down to where on the hydrant for one of the garden for the main of those garden areas, I put a whole pressure reduce or pressure regulator on that to try to get it to where I think it goes up to 75 psi.
Yeah, I think
Um, and it's fine, but then I don't have the volume that I need.
yeah.
So if I bring the pressure down, then I'm down to one garden, and
And nobody else
that's
can
it.
have anything running. Like
Yeah, because it screws with the timing. So if I know that my irrigation heads are running at a gallon a minute each, I know that I can run that garden for that long, and I can have that consistency.
right.
But if
Filling a tank for the water.
somebody's watering cattle, or the cattle go up and drink for that couple of minutes, I'm
Right.
losing that volume
Right.
or that pressure, so I'm not getting that same water.
Right.
So it's all this timing of stuff, and that's so I don't know. We're trying to figure that, but the system that I've looked at and I've kind of played around with, and I can do it probably a little bit cheaper, but I can actually buy a whole system for less than the water main was going to cost me. The meter. It was something like $1,500 for a whole solar system that was going to have like 20 psi on the system, which is more than enough to run the sprinkler heads, but it was also going to be able to do like 12 gallons a minute, which is a huge volume. So that's, and like I said, it just works out better because as long as the water's testing fine, I'm going to send in monthly tests so that I have peace of mind that what we're doing, because again, if I do drip irrigation, which a lot of our stuff outside does drip irrigation, just because
We're windy.
it uses less water. I'm directly
Mhm.
watering it, but when you're getting into the greens and stuff like that, and our lettuces, when it's 90 degrees outside, I've got to be able to cool those things down multiple times a day and all this other good stuff. So, but not going to grow any more squash for tag. I'll probably send him a little bit. I think B's been keeping the squash department pretty good for tag, so I probably don't have to send any squash to tag. But
She might be good for a year. She could probably can some of that stuff, and just,
yep.
one block at a time in the morning with eggs.
Oh. I like squash. I do. But I like butternut squash. And I think that's what she has a ton of. I think she has a ton of butternut squash.
Yeah.
But you start getting into the
We like roasting it though.
spaghetti. We do. I like
we haven't
roasting
tried soup.
Nope, I haven't done soup. Spaghetti squash. That does nothing for me. Nothing for me.
Well, then let's not grow that this year. I'm okay with that.
I don't think I have spaghetti squash growing.
Okay.
What?
It's been decided.
No, it's not been decided because it's never decided until
the committee has spoken.
Until it's October, and I said, man, I wish I would have grown that.
Committee has spoken.
So, all right. Well, we've been going for a little over 2 hours now.
You talk a lot. You're very windy.
It's not the first time I've heard that.
Maybe that's where we get our wind from.
I don't know. Hypocrites. I am going to. Thursdays are crazy, and it seems like I'm always missing the Zoom.
We need to put it on our calendar.
And every time I've gotten into that thing, I've enjoyed every moment of it thoroughly. So I sit there, and lots of times he says, well, you got to start something. I don't talk much, though. So.
You don't talk much?
Yeah, I don't talk much. Just 150-pound cushion.
Oh, is that like long? What is that long squash that you keep bringing home from somebody on your route that's like it's like a 5-foot long squash.
Well, it's soft. And
It's like zucchini.
it's like a cucumber. And I can't remember what the heck that thing was called now. But they're prolific. I mean, they grow like crazy.
Well, Billy had some, didn't he?
No, those are different.
Oh, okay.
Those are different. That was more of a squash gourd kind of thing. I can't remember that. So
that one that you had though it was scary enough I didn't even try to eat it.
Yeah, that's Randy with the Tromachino. That's what Billy has.
Oh,
Tromachino.
Okay.
Yeah. No, and that's not what we were getting. And this, I can't remember what the heck that thing. I had to look it up because I had never heard of it. They asked me if I wanted it, and dumb me didn't keep seed off of it, and I don't know why I didn't keep seed off of it because they said it would grow like a foot a day. The fruit would. It was something. It was something crazy.
You would not starve if you had this plant. I mean,
it has the. It sounds a lot like a Tromachino when it's growing, but it's not. It's very straight, very long, 4 or 5 foot long, and I'm sure you can pick them sooner. But it was the size of a cucumber, large cucumber, diameter.
And it was soft. It was soft. So, like, if you picked it up in the middle, it would kind of like snake over.
Yeah.
It would lean over. Yeah. It wasn't rigid like a zucchini.
The Tromachino is a really long butternut.
So,
yeah, I've never gotten seed. Yeah, yeah, we can grow that. It's a squash. I mean, it just vines.
Is it easier to handle than a butternut squash? Because
it's bigger. Like it has a crook in it.
But is the shell on it? Is it hard? Like on the
Don't
butternut, you've got to, peel it. If you want to chop it, you have to peel it, and I mean, it's almost you can cut your fingers off trying to do it. But
that I have heard of the Georgia Candy Roaster, and I would like to try that. I've never grown them, never had one, but I would like to try that. So I don't know. I'm so big into I could get dangerously experimentative on stuff and grow.
We would never have any food because of everything that we.
We'd have food. It'd just be weird stuff, and I mean, I'm no different than any other gardener when it comes down to it. I get the catalog.
You're nerds.
Yeah, I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd.
We do like growing the weird stuff. Nobody else likes the weird stuff though.
Oh yeah, you can't. Even foodies. That's what I laugh because even foodies are like, that looks weird.
It's
okay,
purple.
It tastes good, so try it. So and we have gotten people to try different things. It's so funny, just like the turnips. I grew up planting purple top turnips for deer and doing this stuff and never had one of these turnips that we grow now. And most people don't know what they are.
Well, no.
And they won't buy them. They think they're radishes.
Yes,
they think they're a white radish. Is what they really think they are. And so we will literally cut turnips or we will give turnips away for people to try because we can't cut things at the farmer's market sometimes. And we'll just give them a turnip and say, here, try it. And that's what our produce auction up the street. We would take up turnips and they didn't sell for nothing the first week we took them up there. Nobody knew what they were. And we told them they're turnips. Oh, okay, turnips. Da, da, da. And I think literally they sold for 50 cents a bunch, which is like dirt cheap. And so we were like, okay, how can we fix this? So we literally just said, well, let's cut up a bunch. We'll call them and say, hey, can we just put a plate of turnips out? And they're like, sure, why not? So we cut up a bunch of plate. That plate lasted about 30 seconds. And then people wanted more cut. And they were like,
is that all you had?
Is that all you had? And we're like, well, we got whole boxes of them over here. Those things went for $2.50 a bunch that week. Gone. So it's just getting those people red okra. Exactly. That is fun. That is, I mean, what better to have in jambalaya?
Oh,
Red
that would be
okra.
cool.
Yeah.
Does it turn green? Because like red green beans and purple carrots and all that, they end up not keeping their
Now
color.
some of the yeah, when you cook them like that,
Yeah.
he plants it so no one will steal it because they don't know what it is.
Oh, that's a good
So,
idea. That's a good
the
idea.
delicatas, the personal size roasted.
We did have those before.
Yep, we like the delicatas.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hmm. I'll have to look a couple of those up and see. Maybe if we get a packet.
Oh,
We could get a packet.
see, and when I like to experiment, it's bakers. You know, I go to bakers, and that's where it's like, okay, what's the black tomato, or there's all kinds of stuff that I would grow just to grow. I mean, it's this guy that we were following, Bakers and Ray Tyler and him are and Bakers.
Johnny Seed.
No, Ray Tyler and Bakers are
Oh
good.
yeah, he
They're
did
good
do a
friends.
thing. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
They're good friends, and he'll grow some seed and just try seed and stuff like that. And they grew a tomato, and it had tomatoes all over this thing. It looked really promising. And I guess his kids like tomatoes quite a bit, and the kids would go out there and they will steal stuff off the plants. And I guess they went out there and grabbed some of those tomatoes, and they were horrible. And so they literally just ripped them all out.
That was the one he ripped out.
Yep,
Okay.
and ripped everything. He said,
Okay.
because this is not worth it. He said, if it doesn't taste good, then not worth growing.
Right.
Why would you grow a tomato that doesn't taste good?
Exactly.
So, yep.
Really tasty. Short and stubby okra. Sarah David. Okay.
I have to look that one up.
Mm.
We grow okra. It's something my daughter will. She could pickle okra, and how she would have any gut left, but she would eat a jar of pickled okra every single day. I don't know how, but she could. So, but well, I guess we'll get off of here and get some seeding
Seed
stuff done. You're gonna go seed. I'm gonna do some more seed planting.
Okay.
I think. So.
Sounds good.
Don't get the book, The Whole Okra. At least 70 cultivars listed in it. Holy moly! With uses.
Horrible.
Just horrible. That is a book I'm gonna have to write down. The Whole Oak. I didn't have a clue there was that many okra.
No kidding. One like breeds like rabbits. I mean,
yeah. I mean,
you only need one plant.
A good okra can you just keep prolific. So I don't know. I can even get cover crop mixes that have okra in my cover crop mixes that I can put out in pasture.
Oh, I bet they'd eat that like crazy.
I don't know. Every time I've planted it, it's never come up, but I've never done a warm season again with it in there. So
it'd be like a sunflower, wouldn't it? It's a hibiscus type plant.
I don't know. I know that they around here, hypocrites eats it raw.
Well, yeah.
Young, I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah,
spineless.
But the plant itself though would never come to fruit for cows, though. I mean, it'd be like the sunflowers. It'd only get like a foot tall, and then you're on the vegetation.
Yes, if you allowed them in there, but like a warm season, lots of times that you don't let them in there when it's that young. You let your sorghum get 6 foot tall, stuff like that. So
that's true.
So, and I'm going to do sun hemp again this year with the summer mixes because I just like sun hemp. So,
pretty.
But all right, well, I will. We'll jump off of here. We'll get some of that stuff done. Let's see.
Thanks for joining us.
Let's see. When tomorrow? No, today's Monday. So Wednesday. No, tomorrow is Grumpy Acres, isn't it? Tuesdays?
I think so.
So Grumpy Acres is tomorrow. And then we've got Tag and B, or Thursday's the Zoom. So get on freesteading, and you can get the Zoom thing for that on Thursday evening. What time is that again? Do you remember?
I think it's at 7.
7. Hypocrites, would you put that in there in the text? Is it 7:00 for the Zoom on Thursday, and then Friday we have Tag and B.
Yes.
And then next week, I'm not sure how we're going to do this yet. We will be live.
Oh.
We will be live. I know that we can do multiple screens. So I may be in a training still. I'm doing 10 to 12 plus hours of training
Garden
Tuesday, Wednesday,
training.
Thursday. So Monday I will not be in training yet, but I will be traveling.
Okay.
So I should be able to get on at 7 o'clock. I won't be there yet, but I'll just take a rest break somewhere and
We'll figure it
we'll,
out.
we'll get online and we'll have a. Otherwise, if I don't make it, then you have a lovely face to look at the whole time.
I don't know. We might cancel that. I can't talk like he can.
No, we're not canceling it. We shall be here. Shall be here. So no, we'll be here on Monday. Young Alabama red can be cut young, then sliced on the salad. It's not gooey or slimy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because if they get too big, they get slimy inside.
Yes,
But I like
topping the
them when they're
okra.
like 2 inches, like baby, is when I usually eat them.
7 p.m. Central Time works just perfect. I don't necessarily need Zulu time. So.
Okay.
But
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. I like the 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. So.
Works well.
Anyways, we'll get off of here. We thank you for joining us.
It's been fun.
Yeah. Until next time.
Pull up a chair.
And welcome to Tabletop Farms.
See you guys.
Good night.